Now it's started.
Started now.
It started.
Hello, everybody. Hello, hello,
Yeah,
hello. Thank you for letting me on your device.
Now, what we got to do is find the chat. So we go here. Dashboard. Where are we? It's been difficult. Where is it? Video manager. See, I don't know if there's even anyone there at the moment. Oh, that's interesting. This is still saying live. No, wait. What have I done?
I don't know what you did.
Okay, that is good. Cool. Okay.
Gotta love that.
Okay. So yeah, so we've got to pop out the chat so we can see it.
Pop out the chat.
There's
a ninja there.
So you know what it did? Because the chat popped out. So it's saying like your chat's ninjaed over here.
Oh, I like the little picture of a ninja.
It is good.
I like ninjas.
Yes.
Ninjas make me a little bit happy.
Yeah.
In the mind.
Yeah.
And in other places too. I'm talking sexually.
So we've got, oh look, we've got people to say hello to. Catherine and High Priestess and Nick and Toby.
Hello people. It is so honourable. No, I fucked it up. I am honoured to be looking at you.
Yes. So we're off and running. And
G'day, Mike.
G'day, Mike. All right. Right. So yeah, this is a very different time of day for the chat.
You know why?
Why?
Because I didn't bugger up the navigation to get here, right? Because also, you know, like when you're doing the public transport thing, and I do the public transport thing, and I'll tell you why, because I'm not allowed to drive. I'm not allowed to drive because I have low threshold epilepsy, which is a thing where you don't really have it, but every now and again you go and chuck a fit. And it's easier and it's fairly full on. And they have this thing about not driving when you have seizures.
Yes, unpredictable seizures.
They're just, you know, a bit awkward about it, you know, and so I'm not allowed to drive. So I public transport it everywhere. Now, when you public transport it everywhere, you're basically waiting on connections.
Yeah.
And you're waiting on basically navigation. You've got to work out where you got to get off and where you got to walk to and all the other stuff. And getting to Studio Angry, the technical term is fucked it up about 8 times. And today I did it again, except that my connections were bang, 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 like get off a tram, bang, there's your train. Get off a train, bang, there's your tram. It was like, you know, like, wow. Just go, 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 son. And effectively, I walked the wrong way, but with the power of technology, I found a map on my electric telephone.
Good one.
And I took my electric telephone map and walked around the block and came to the place of video chatment. So people, thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you for indulging me in getting here.
Yeah. So it'll be interesting to see the difference in this time zone because it's the weekend, it's the afternoon for us. Normally I do the live chats in the evening on weekdays. And doing this in the mid-afternoon means it's evening Saturday night for folk in North America.
Hello, folk in North America. I am pleased to look at you, and I hope that you are pleased to look at me. I have my teeth back.
Yeah, which is nice.
How good are my teeth? They're like really good teeth.
Look how white you got big white teeth.
I've looked after them for years, which is not true. In fact, what happened was they exploded.
Yeah.
We know this. In fact, one time I came to a scheduled transmission with Angry, and I come out of the dentist after having a teeth pulled out because it was the technical term is buggered. And it had exploded.
Yeah.
And so they pulled it out. And I'm walking down the street going, yeah, life is good. I've got my tooth out and the infection has now leaked out and, you know, it's going to be great. And people are looking at me and avoiding me. And I'm going, what's going on here? I'm okay. I'm a nice guy. And, you know, mothers are grabbing their children close to me. And there was this guy with one arm, and I was making a joke with him. The joke was, you know, like pretty poor.
Yeah.
But he went, ugh, and walked away from me. And I'm going, dude, you've got one fucking arm, and you're fucking judging me. Finally, I get to Angry's workplace. And he goes, you might want to go to the bathroom and fix yourself up. I go to the bathroom and I've got blood streaming down my face and shirt. It looks like I've eaten the head of a baby. Now, these shenanigans continued for 15 years. My teeth were stuffed, and I got new ones from the students at the Royal Melbourne Dental Hospital.
Yeah.
And they got realigned recently, and I didn't have them for a week. And the last live chat I did with Angry was with no teeth at all.
Yeah.
But I still managed to speak, and I still am able to say, are they copper bottoming the bottom of the War Memorial, my man? No, mum, they're aluminiuming it.
See, lots of practice with enunciation right there. So
he thrusts his fist against the post and still insists he sees the ghosts.
See? All these little exercises, little vocal exercises, they all help.
They did. Didn't think it was going to happen in theatre school. I thought it was the most stupid fucking thing in the world, but lately, it's really worked for me.
Yep. When your mouth's a different shape.
Dude, learning how to talk again is weird. And the other weird thing is saying, like, I have a liquid drink here, right? Now, when you drink a liquid drink, it goes over your tongue and misses your air hole and goes down your throat hole, okay, using technical jargon.
Yeah.
Okay. And when you have, well, I'm just going to know equations. Equations. When you've got a plate in, the angle of the fluid hitting your epiglottis, that's the only equation.
Okay. Is different.
Is different.
Yeah.
And you choke. You've got to learn to swallow. And for the first couple of weeks, you drink and go down your ear hole and you're stuffed. It's just weird. But anyway, you get used to them very quickly. They did a wonderful job, and I'm just very appreciative of it. Very appreciative of it, because it cost me bugger all. Thank you very much, health system.
Yes.
And my student was really fucking good. He did a great job. I can eat things again, and I've become fat.
Nice. The eating is all happening. Well, Toby, you're saying there should be a doco about AIDzee. There are a couple.
There are a couple, technically. Yeah.
And I'll
probably do another one now that I'm healthy. Yeah. Do you know my doctor, okay, so my kidneys are stuffed. Okay. I have a suppressed immune system. I got chemotherapy when I got arthritis. This is normal back in the day. They don't do it anymore. Back in the day, it was normal. And they turn off your immune system because your immune system is trying to kill you. And they turn it off, and then they stop the chemo and it comes back. Mine never came back. As a result, I got terrible infections, including having my balls cut off. Story for another time.
Yes.
Anyway, basically it destroyed my teeth. I, in order to deal with the pain, got wildly addicted to opioids. Like over-the-counter opioids, but wildly addicted, right? In amounts that would kill you.
Yeah.
Do not try this at home. Anyway, so basically I get a new boyfriend, right? It was all very complicated because I hadn't come out to my folks. And I was due to have a crash because my kidneys are stuffed and my electrolytes are stuffed and lots of things are wrong, and I was due to go into hospital again. And so I didn't want my boyfriend and my mother to be looking across the bed at each other going, who the fuck are you?
Yeah.
And so effectively I came out and said, yeah, Mum, Dad, got a new boyfriend. And I said, we better meet him. And they meet him and they say, what do you think of our AIDzee? And the first thing he says to my mother is, well, the smoking's got to go and the drugs have got to become a thing of the past. And my mum goes, shit, I like him already. And bugger me, 18 months later, no smoking, drugs are gone. And so my parents think my boyfriend pisses ginger ale.
Mm.
Anyway, I go to my doctor recently. He says, I've known you for 20 years. And he said, and that's knowing your health a miracle.
Yeah.
And he's, you know, since you've died like 4 times on my watch, which is, you know, mate, not good for me.
Yeah.
It's just not, it's really not good for my CV. Please stop doing that.
Yeah.
Anyway, he said, I've got the numbers here. The best thing for your health is your boyfriend.
Yeah.
I've got the actual data.
Yeah.
And what happened, weirdly, was my kidneys started to get better. Now, when kidneys go, they go. Your liver fixes itself, but your kidneys don't. They do not fix themselves. They stay buggered, right? We were looking at dialysis within 2 years. Realistically, and bugger me if the numbers didn't start climbing, they didn't start getting better again. And my GP's gone, never in my life have I seen this happen. My kidney specialist has gone, well, bugger me, this is a thing, I've never seen this. I don't want to see you for a year. And my GP said, if your numbers get better in a year, he'll want to see you a lot. There'll be a lot of people taking lots of samples of lots of things. You'll be there weekly for a long time because what they'll do is they'll put that shit in a pill.
Yeah. Whatever's in
it, they'll make it work, buddy. Yeah. So continue that. You might even get some royalties. So come on.
Yeah.
Go Kiddies.
Celtic King saying your medical records should be released. Shadoweyes thinks that'd be a good read. Maybe a bestseller, like novelize.
Yeah, it's more like an encyclopedia.
Yeah.
My medical records come on a pallet.
Yeah.
Like on a shipping pallet. And what they do to second-year medical students to upset them is they make them read it.
Yeah.
There is something like, I was told this, there's something like 185,000 pages worth of medical records, which is big.
A lot.
And so they make them read it and they make them diagnose what's going on. And I met a doctor in hospital when I was a little bit sick, because that never happens. And he said, oh, I know you. And I went, I don't think we've met. And he says, no, I read you when I was a medical student. Yeah. And yeah, it took us 3 months
to work out what the fuck you were.
Right. And then the professor said, righto, diagnose. What's going on? What's going on? And basically they all, you know, each team had a go. And one team, my guys' team, said, we don't know. We don't know. And also, we ran up his GP to get a latest update. And the professor said, well, full marks for you, because we don't know either. And if you're just making up bullshit, you're not helping the patient. And so this guy who has somehow managed to live through all this crap is, we don't know how this works. We're still trying to work it out. We will work it out one day. Science is good. Science is a fabulous thing, but it does take time. It might take more time than this guy's got, but we will eventually work out what is wrong with him.
You'll be in the textbooks for the ages.
Yeah, I know. How cool will that be? There'll be pictures of my dead scrotum.
Years from now, medical students will be forced to look at AIDzee's disease scrotum.
How good will that be? I'll be able to point to pictures in books. Oh, it'll all be on the internet.
Yes.
Point to pictures on the internet and go, you know, when I was a young fellow, that was the scrotum that I had. They cut it off, completely cut it off, you know. But it was a fun time. It wasn't a fun time. It wasn't a fun time.
No. I'm fidgeting, as people regularly notice will notice I fidget a lot. This is the maple bacon flavored rock candy. Do you want to try it?
I do want to try it.
Try it.
Maple bacon flavored. It looks pink. I'm expecting strawberry.
They've coloured it, you know, because that's like a cartoony colour for bacon. You taste it, and it actually tastes like bacon.
It's bacon.
It's sweet
maple.
Bacon. Yeah.
That's weird.
It's really weird. I've got that because I've been making more beverages with flavours, and they're sort of sitting up there. That's that big skull there. Sorry, I'm pointing with a mouse and you can't see it. That big skull there. that's got blueberry vodka in it. It's basically fresh blueberries because they're in season and they were cheap. So I got some from the supermarket and crushed them up.
Canadians would like this.
Yes, it's Canadian maple bacon.
Oh, I didn't know it was Canadian. See, I just picked it.
Yeah.
It's because I'm psychic.
The maple stuff. So up there also is some bourbon that I've dissolved.
I'm trying to scan your mind. You want some alcohol.
Oh, no. I've got a nice summery beverage here. And this is a mix. It's got some cider, apple cider, and this is the Bon Vivant cocktail. Remember I said that elderflower drink says that it's the Bon Vivants. So I've mixed it, Saint Germain. I've mixed it up in here.
It looks nice.
And I've improvised because that's the blueberries that were in the vodka. So they're sort of vodka-soaked blueberries.
Yeah, wow.
And it's colouring the drink. It's got Saint Germain elderflower and cider and lemonade and, well, clearly some flavoured vodka.
You know, it looks like one of those glass thermometers that have the
oh yeah, what do they call them? The it's named after someone famous.
Some guy thermometer.
Yeah.
Yeah. Signed by.
Yes.
Yeah. Bill Nye and I don't like that.
Oh, Toby, fourth and final package. Toby's been sending me lots of packages with religious tracts in them for us to have fun reading.
Thanks, Tobes. Thanks, Tobes.
And he sent another one, and I think the post office got confused, but I need the little slip, which I kept in a jacket pocket. On Friday, I did go in. I thought of going in there, but I was wearing a different jacket, so I didn't have the slip. But on Monday, I'll probably be wearing the jacket with the slip. But speaking of things Toby sends, I thought you'd like this. This is like a apocalyptic Jesus comic.
Bloody hell.
So, I mean, you can see it's all sorts of shit going. Jesus and the 10 Commandments and 666.
Wow.
And the beast with many heads there.
Oh, wow.
And that's some Old Testament shit there, I think.
Wow.
But it's like new. Okay.
How new can it be?
Yeah.
Really? It's a couple thousand years old, guys.
The prophecies. I mean,
wow.
Do you need some therapy? You can take it home and use it as a colouring book.
I could take it home and use it as a colouring book.
And
there's a lot of words there.
Our weird narrator who's in there and stuff.
Yeah. The state of the dead. He's really keen on telling you about the state of the dead.
Because he's going to be dead soon.
Wow. Wow.
But there's like, this is like crazy apocalyptic shit.
Wow, look at the work in this.
Yeah.
Look at the work in this. You'd have to really be keen on getting this together. Okay, look at this picture, right? Now, every time you see a black mark on a comic, right?
Yeah.
It's written in.
Yeah.
Right? The white is the paper that the comic the manga artist uses as a background, but black is actually penciled in. So to have this picture of that, they've had to for hours bloody to write it in. So, and that's a picture of Satan.
Yeah, and that's the nice traditional one of him as the angel. This is going to be our favourite section, obviously. Before his fall, Lucifer was the first of the covering cherubs, holy and undefiled.
There you go.
But he came to indulge a desire for self-exaltation. Lucifer coveted the praise and worship due to the infinite Father and his Son. He went forth to diffuse the spirit of discontent among the angels. Lucifer urged, since their natures were holy, the angels should obey the dictates of their own will, intimating that laws that governed heavenly beings imposed unnecessary restraint. Ultimately, using deceit and cunning, Lucifer...
Deceit and cunning. Remember those words, folks. Deceit and cunning.
Look, writing days, which is actually Big Pat, is saying hello.
Hi, guys. Hi, Big Pat.
So, yes. So he urged fully 1/3 of God's angels into open rebellion. And then we get into all caps territory. There was war in heaven. Michael and his angels fought against the dragon, and that old serpent, Satan, was cast out of heaven down to earth.
Hang on a minute. Hang on a minute.
Yeah.
If Earth is so good because it was made, you know, in the beginning, right? Why would you then cast the bad guy to the place that's supposed to be so good? Is that, am I in the wrong zone?
I don't know. Cast to Earth was actually a surprise to me. Thus long ago began the great controversy between Christ and Satan in a universe that had only known peace and love and harmony. God could have easily destroyed Lucifer at any time, but the unfallen angels needed to clearly see that Lucifer was wrong. That sounds stupid.
That sounds a bit creepy. That sounds a little bit like you going into the windowless office and everyone knows where you are. That sounds a little bit like non-ever-loving.
So sin had to be given time to grow so that heavenly beings and all the inhabitants of the universe might see it for what God knew it would become. The earth is the only world in which sin has been permitted to run rampant. And fucking big ups to you, God. I'm not all sins, but there is a plethora of sins that I'm a very big fan of.
I've indulged in some.
Yeah. I mean, not like murder.
With Angry.
Yeah.
And not
that would be the Droog ones.
Not all of the ones with Angry.
Not the sexual ones.
Because Angry's not like that. Right? I've not asked Angry to indulge into the sexual sins because he's not that way wired. We've had enough conversations in order for me to find out that he has tastes that run to, I'm not going to say. There was an evening where
I know,
and we're not gonna.
And there might have been stimulants and who knows what.
Who knows
anyway,
what? But and there might have been chains. There might have been a milkshake. Might have been a milkshake shop.
Yeah.
Which
and all the boys came to the yard.
They did come to the yard.
And the girls and the,
yes, indeed they did. Anyway, so I and Angry have indulged in some sins. Thanks, Luce. Am I going to go to hell forever? Possibly.
Yeah.
Since I have indulged in homosexual acts with my lover, who happens to be the best thing for my health, according to medical science.
Yeah. But medical science is a sin as well, so. So
it is too, isn't it?
To a lot of people, it's a sin.
Yeah,
so,
true. Yeah, true. And I've been vaccinated, so I'm fucked, aren't I?
Yes. Yeah, that's Satan's jab right there.
Right there.
Well, Satan's got a few jabs that he's fond of.
In fact, last time I was having an AIDzee. How's that for an acronym?
Yeah.
An intravenous intradam.
All right. I thought that was another sex thing, but it's a medical thing.
It's a medical thing. They give you white blood cells to help your immune system not die.
Yeah.
And so I'm getting this thing. And the doctor comes around and says, do you want some vaccination against the flu? And I'm going, yeah, man, go for it because it's free, right?
Yeah.
Otherwise, you got to pay. It's small,
yeah,
right? But you got to pay for it. It's $20 or something in
Something
Australia.
like that.
It's really cheap.
Depending which GP you go to.
Yeah, it's really cheap. And you go to the chemist, you buy it, and the GP jab. And I'm going, free? Can you come on? What else you got? And he's going, well, slow down, buddy, because, you know, we've got to get consent. I'm going, I consent. I'm consenting. I'm consenting like crazy. He says, well, this is paperwork. And so I write out all this paperwork and I get about 5 different vaccinations at once. And the nurses are going, you know, you're probably going to have some side effects from this because they are actual diseases and it won't be long and you'll be protected hardcore from, you know, motherfucker diseases. But, you know, you're going to get a headache and you're going to get like a flu-like thing. And, you know, and so seriously, next day in the morning, I felt like I had a hangover. And I'm going, oh, maybe it's stuffed up here. And then lunchtime, all clears up and I'm good to go. And bugger me if this is crazy, right? This is crazy because I got to go to the chemist every day for reasons. And I go to the chemist and it says, woman there coughing and coughing and coughing and coughing. And she's coughing a little bit of lumps on the counter.
Oh, that's pleasant.
And the girls freak and get lots of stuff and clean it up with like gloves, right? And I'm just going, oh, this is interesting. What's going on here? Turns out she's got TB.
Oh, for fuck's sake.
And pneumonia.
Jesus.
Right? And I, the week before, had the jabs.
Yeah.
So I'm going, I can actually help. And they go, no, you can't. I said, no, I actually can. I've just had the jabs. I'm actually clear. And they went, okay. And I helped them clean up the counter because I was
because you were vaccinated. Toby, are you watching us in a public place again? It's like some people are seeing us over Toby's shoulders and thinking we must be some sort of degenerate, which would be accurate.
That's fair.
Which would be accurate.
That's really fair.
But that's fair. I mean, like I had a holiday in Southeast Asia, so they fucking jab you with all sorts of shit.
Yeah.
Various tropical disease vaccinations.
Yeah.
And yeah, the day after was a bit trippy.
Yeah.
It's like his stuff was coursing through my system and my body's going, oh, the fuck is this? The fuck is this? White blood cells are going into overdrive and get a slight fever as your body thinks shit is happening.
Yeah.
And then after a day, everything's settled down.
Fine, yeah.
Okay, Toby's in a car park watching our live stream, which is a completely normal thing
Toby,
to do.
there's things I've done in car parks, buddy. There's things I've done in car parks which I recommend, Toby. That's what I'm saying. Yeah. That's what I'm saying.
The weirdest memory I just had of finding someone's handbag in a car park. You know how when you load shopping up in this is actually
of course
they load shopping up into the car and this
lady's
lady's put her handbag down
and she's
driven off.
Yeah.
And I thought that sucks. I did look through it, and this is clearly not a particularly wealthy person. This is when we were in Bathurst, and the cop shop was just across the road.
Oh, so you've taken it.
So I just went, someone just left this in the car park, and they want your ID. Cool. And because I didn't take any money out of it, I freely admit that person had hundreds of dollars in cash and designer stuff, and they looked rich as fuck. But this just looked like a very ordinary person, so I didn't touch anything.
Yeah. I finished my maple
making.
I read that.
I know, because the one live stream I was drinking possibly a little bit extra maple making bourbon, and I had real trouble saying it.
Okay.
I see. The maple bacon.
I can't imagine you intoxicated.
No, not at all. So speaking of which, I was thinking about our mate Aaron, who makes stuff and is super busy in the lead up to Halloween, which is over.
Oh, of course.
He might have, because he didn't have free time to hang out with us after introducing us to his friend the alchemist, but he might after Halloween. But maybe he has. He does stuff on commission. He makes costumes,
bloody well too, by the way.
Really,
really well.
But I
was actually surprised because I knew him as a tuber. Yeah, and he was fun. He made some interesting stuff. Fun guy. Right, like he wrote some good stuff. But then when he started making stuff, it was like, whoa, this is actually really fucking good. Yeah. And he takes time. Yeah. And he does it properly, and he measures your head. Yeah. So if you want, like, I don't know, an Iron Man head, right? He measures your head, and the bloody thing arrives. It's a month later, but it arrives, and it's like, there it is. And there's crap inside that, like,
makes it sit properly on your head.
Yeah, but you can also see little things for enough money. You can actually have little video implants in it. It's just amazing shit.
Yeah. So I think he's maker stuff. He does stuff through an Etsy shop, I think. He did some making videos on a YouTube channel called Let's Make Stuff. He makes armor and costumes and helmets and weapons, prop stuff, not
not for cosplay. Shoot,
yes. And it keeps him super, super, super busy. So when we had a night out that he helped us with, he wasn't actually able to.
It's a shame, because I would have loved to.
But I've been meaning to ask him, because he might be less busy with Halloween over, but he might be more busy with Christmas coming up. I don't know. I don't know if he's ever not busy.
Yeah.
Because he works very hard. But he has worked out some streamlining. So I was saying to him at one point, is there some way you could work out a sort of production line stuff for some of this stuff to save some of your time? And he actually has, particularly with the body armor parts, he's worked out a way to have a base way to produce a lot of stuff and then customize it.
Cool.
So that was good. But yeah, so I think, okay, Nicholas is asking, oh my God, sorry, I don't mean to say, okay, I was going to say lots of things about Toby's question being a bit pedestrian, but asking if you smoked pot. And Nicholas saying, what's the weirdest thing you've ever seen? See, I think that depends on context. It depends what you think is weird.
It really does.
Like, the weirdest thing I've seen is AIDzee, and
thanks for the grenade, brother.
Yeah. So I mean,
didn't see that one coming. Okay.
But I just mean in terms of, as I've referred people before to one of the behind the scenes videos I made when Code Grey was in rehearsal, stuff with you and the Reverend Doctor in the old shed. And when you were showing the Reverend Doctor medical photos.
Yes.
And it was mostly what your thighs looked like, where the infection had all been cut out and whatnot. And the consensus was somewhere between a bad burn and a shark has been chewing on your leg. That's
true. Yeah. Still looks that way today.
Yeah. Good scar tissue.
If I took off my pants, you'd see amazing things. And I'm not just.
And lots of people have heard that line. I'm just throwing it out there.
Let me take my pants off. I'll show you some amazing things.
Sometimes at private parties with consenting adults who want to be told that sort of thing.
Yachts, things like that.
Sometimes on trams with complete strangers.
Oh, I can show you a thing.
I could drop my pants and show you something amazing.
I'll show you this thing. Asian girls love it. Because they sit there very still and look down at their phone, pretending that I'm not there.
But the real twist is always when they just think you're talking about your penis, and it's so much more than that.
The underpants don't even come off.
No.
And then they see what I'm talking about, and it's like, oh my God.
Yeah. So yeah, Megan's asking weirdest thing seen in a car park. And again, I'm not completely sure you want to go there.
I did actually see in a car park once. It was a car park in Canberra, and I was very young. And
if you're Australian at all, you know this is getting weird now.
Well, you know it's getting weird. Car park in Canberra, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so in Canberra, the public transport is buses, and they're not very good. So what young people do as soon as they can is they get enough money to buy themselves a second-hand car, which represents freedom. And so then basically young people of, let's say, late high school, early university age, can then get in cars and take their lovers to known car parks that are for the purposes of having the sexual intercourse, right? So I was in a car park with 2 other people. It was the team sports night, and in a Volkswagen. So, okay. So thank you. Yeah, mechanics got it all together there. You imagine getting 3 people together in a Volkswagen? It's doable, but you've got to put one seat down.
Yeah.
Anyway, so basically we're there. We finish. We're having a cigarette, not even pot. We're just having a cigarette, and we notice another car is bouncing around, and they do because they're having the sexual intercourse in this car park, right? And the car goes on fire.
Wow, so okay, that's when you know the sex is good. When your car bursts into flames.
We're going, is that car on fire? And like we're just going, come on, no, don't. And then we're all looking and going, that car's on fire. And people start to come out of cars to go toward this car on fire, and it's getting worse, right? Okay, now Canberra gets very cold in the wintertime, and what people do is they tend to leave their engines on when they're having the sexual intercourse.
Because the car would get too cold.
It gets too cold, so you keep the heater on, so you leave the engine on. And what has happened to this poor guy is that his battery, we find out later, has arced in the back seat of his car where it was held.
Yes.
And it's caught the K-pock, and it started a fire, and they didn't notice because they were on the job. And basically lots of people have come and knocked on the car and being told, oh, get away, busy.
We're dogging here. Yeah.
Dude, your car's on fire. It's like, yeah, come on, no, go away. No, dude, your car's on fire. And this guy goes, what? Looks around, sees his car's on fire. These 2 naked people get out with the blanket and go, God, trying to put this car out. You know, other people come with water and try and put it out. Like this whole car park full of the sexual people. Some of them semi-naked are trying to put out this car that's on fire, and it didn't work very well. And finally, these people had to be clothed in found items from other people's cars, and these poor buggers had to stand there. The car's on fire and it's all bad, and then the fire engine and the cops come, and the cops ask the inevitable question, what were you doing when the car got on fire? And everyone just left.
Yeah.
I feel for them, but it's just funny as hell.
That is a really good answer to what's the weirdest thing you've seen in a car park. It's perverse without being totally disgusting. That's good. What sort of car was it that caught on fire?
It was a one of those stretch Volkswagens. I think Carmen, not a Carmen.
Carmen Gear.
It was like a hatchback Volkswagen.
Right. And because that's the thing. That's
not a hatchback,
the,
like a station wagon Volkswagen.
Oh, the I know the one you mean. And I can't think of what it's called now. But surfers really liked them in the 60s.
Yes, surfers really liked them. My wife and I had one for a long time, and we actually protected the battery with insulating stuff.
Yeah,
because the seat is right on top of it, and the seat has got this fibrous packing, and they're famous for catching fire.
Yeah, I thought it must have been a Volkswagen because, yeah, again, I think a lot of people won't realise this. The Beatles and that station wagon stuff, the battery was directly under the back seat.
Yeah.
And so if you're bouncing on the seat, the springs might come in contact with the battery terminals,
arcing,
which causes a spark and fatunch. So there you go. No, it's not. It wasn't a combi, Catherine. Combi is the big camper van. I'm trying to remember what the station wagons were called. I never actually had one of them.
They do have a name. I can't remember the name.
Oh, look, we've got a computer here. Because it'll drive me crazy if I know. Volkswagen Station Wagon. If we look that up, what do we see? Let's look at the picture. No, these are new ones.
New ones. It's that one. It's that one. It's that one.
Yeah.
It's that one.
It's this one. It's they're just calling it a square back. No, it's not that one. It's this one. Visit. What is this? This is the one we want to know what this is called, and this is loading really slowly, probably because we're fuck you, Pinterest, you piece of shit.
Oh hell yeah. Type through.
Yeah, but there was another name for them. Oh, okay. I don't know. I tell you what. Just speaking of Volkswagens, even though they're a dodgy company with their faking their what do you call it? No polluting.
Yes.
Which is costing them billions of dollars.
Except, you know what?
Yeah.
All the other car companies have gone, oh yeah, you're very bad. Quickly fix it before you get busted. Because they were all doing it. They were all doing it. Bye, Toby. It was really good to see you, man. Thanks.
But I saw pictures of, because they did the modern generation Beetle, which was kind of sold okay for them and whatnot, but they did develop a new combi, and it was an electric vehicle.
All right.
And it had all this nice fitting, and it looks super, super, super cool. And obviously not for sale in Australia because nothing good is. But I would be sorely tempted to get one.
Except for my bum, by the way.
Modern camper van. For sale?
My bum?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I've sold it before.
Yes.
I'll sell it again.
Yeah.
It was,
buyer's market?
Seller's market. It's very expensive.
Yeah.
And there's got to be negotiation with another human involved.
Yes.
And he tends to take a very big commission.
I thought you were going to say you took a very big view.
If you want photography, whoa, look out, prices go up, 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 then bloody hell. I tell you what, he's a hard taskmaster.
Yes.
My morbidly obese bedbound semi.
Oh dear. Oh, Bo's dropped in. Hello, good to see you. Good to see
Hey, Bo,
you.
how you going, man?
Oh, that's it, Mike. The EV combi looks like it's from Tron. I agree. It does. It's a very futuristic looking combi.
Okay. I haven't actually seen one.
Well,
But,
look, again, for AIDzee's edification, I'll see if I can find a picture so you know. The W combi. And oh yeah, there it is. Look at that.
Ooh,
Look at that. It does look kind of cool.
It does look a little bit cool, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Oh, it's a little bit. Yes, we're camping in style. Thank you.
Yeah.
The 60s was fun, but comfort is better.
And that's just the passenger one that we're seeing a picture of.
Yeah.
But there is a camper one as well, and the camper one's friggin' awesome. But yeah, they're never released in Australia.
Those electric vehicles are getting better.
Yeah, they certainly are.
They are getting better. It is going to be the way we're going to go in the future.
Yeah.
Those electric vehicles.
But I mean, you combine, and of course, the big name that possibly gets too much publicity that they don't completely deserve is Tesla.
Yeah.
And good old Elon Musk. But you combine some of the stuff that Tesla and others are doing, an electric vehicle, solar power generation, a battery system in your home, like solar power generators at home that feed into a battery.
Yeah.
And so the car becomes basically free to run because your house during the day juices up a battery that you charge your car in overnight.
Because you're not driving it all night.
Yeah,
right?
You know. And like in a country like Australia, if the fucking Tories would back the fuck off this worshipping of privatization,
which is just, it's just like seriously, it's absolutely fucking the economy, and it's actually quite frightening because they're bucking things up long term.
It's like,
which are quite frightening. We had an opportunity to get a very good, not amazing, but very good broadband system in, and it was all happening, and then they've come in and basically fucked it. And now it's,
they deliberately fucked broadband because it was a Labor policy and they wanted to make it look bad.
That's all it was. It was just.
But the power stuff is this ridiculous worship of fucking privatization. Like, hey, let's privatize all the power utilities and water utilities, and let's not have a carbon price and everything will be cheap. But power prices doubled after you did that. Oh yeah, but look over there, look over there.
Big Boy did it and ran away. And every time they do this, we had this wonderful privatised water company in Sydney. It was a wonderful privatised water company. It was just going to be, it was going to be the bee's knees. It was going to be great, and everyone was backing. And it turned out that this company had no water, sold no water, had no utilities whatsoever, but charged customers.
Yes.
It was a fucking massive corporate scam. And they got caught.
Yeah.
But it took them 8 years to get caught selling actually nothing. They didn't actually sell anything. They just billed people. That was all they did. Was bill people. And it was because of this just gorgeous privatization that will save the world. And we've had really bad fires because private electric companies have not been maintaining their wires properly.
Because spending money on infrastructures for suckers.
Yes, you know, for tools. And we've had really very bad situations where some places have had their water had to be organised because the treatment and filtration plants was privatised, cut out most of the processes to make it cheaper, and bugger me, everyone got sick.
Yeah.
And it's this thing. It's been happening for a while.
Yeah.
And stuff is actually breaking down.
Yeah.
And more and more in our news, the government is being told, shit is breaking. What are you doing about it? Oh no, it'll fix because the market knows everything.
Yeah.
No, it's not. It's breaking, and you did it.
Yeah.
And you actually did it. So please fix it. Oh, no, the market will fix it. No, they're just billing us for nothing.
Yeah. And surprise, they're actually getting worse. The government is pushing another additional layer of what they call competition, which the electricity and gas companies have to spend literally millions of dollars to accommodate, and they're just going to pass that millions of dollars straight on to consumers with increased bills.
I just stole a drink.
A few neurons, Stella and Solon's doing my homework. Both like your teeth.
Hey, thank you. My teeth were made by a student. They're great.
Yeah, you're just making me want to get my teeth whitened.
I know, it's ridiculous.
Mine are like off-white. Yours are huge and super white.
It's just like they're straight and white, and you're like, you know, because trust me, we have photographic evidence of my teeth being bad.
Well, certainly years of video evidence.
It's like really bad, like yellow, and then every few months you'd see one missing. Yeah. And what would happen was they would explode. And I'm not exaggerating, because what happened when I was a kid was they grew together and cracked.
Yeah, a bit crooked. Yeah.
And a little bit crooked and cracked. And then we went to the orthodontist, and they said, well, look, we can fix them, but it's going to cost you the price of a small car, and it's going to take 3 years. And my dad said, well, can you chew? And I said, well, yeah. And he said, well, we're not spending the money on that. We're spending the money on a boat for me. So
there's several elements of slight tension in the relationship between AIDzee and his father. The other one was the time he got buried alive as a source of some tension.
Yes. I don't do confined spaces anymore.
Because AIDzee's dad was a plumber, ran a business, employed lots of people, and had AIDzee as, I don't know, unemployed slave labor.
Unemployed slave labor is putting it nicely.
Yeah.
Bum boy ranked higher than me.
But what literally happened with your trenches are meant to have all this sort of buttressing and what under.
Shoring.
And shoring, that's the correct word. And AIDzee's down in the trench as stuff's been taken out of it.
It gets better. It gets better. You can buy commercial shoring. You can rent it. It is metal. It is purpose-built. And it is really very good. And most of the soil in Canberra is clay and will not actually fall apart. We were in a rare area of very sandy soil, and it had to be shored up, had to be buttressed and shored up. And instead of renting the metal shoring, my old man decided he would make his out of wood. He would get plywood, and he would put bits of wood on the top and the bottom, and we would put the pipes in, and then we would take the shoring out and fill the trench back in. But instead of leaving the wood in the bottom of the trench, he wanted to use it again, because scrap wood is not expensive.
I was going to say valuable, but it's not. It's bits of wood.
It's bits of wood, but he wanted to use it again because he didn't want to get more scrap wood, because that would
cost $2 or $3.
$2 or $3. So my job was to go down into the 4-meter. I still get sweaty when I talk about this. I sweat on my top lip, and I still do. Down into the bottom of the trench and retrieve the expensive $2 wood. So I'm retrieving the expensive $2 wood, right? Me. And whilst this is going on, the tractor that we used to dig out, the backhoe that we used to dig out the trench, is basically there sitting right at the end of the trench. And the safety was that if it looked like it was going to cave in, I was to run to the digger, hang on to it, and it would slowly be drawn out of the collapsing trench. Right. So I take out the very expensive, not expensive wood, and bugger me, the trench collapses. Right. I am running toward the safety digging bucket, which we worked out later would have just killed me anyway. Anyway, and there was this shovel in the way, and like a lap sash seatbelt, the trench has come in and secured it. So I go whack into this shovel and can't get to the bucket. And I see the bloody thing leave as the trench comes in around me. And I was just in this trench 4 meters down going, I'm gonna die for $2.
Which, on the plus side, you didn't actually die.
Exactly.
You were just traumatized for life.
You know, I'm clearly being a sook.
Yeah.
You know,
not dead, just nearly dead, and
you know,
mentally scarred.
I was only under there for 15 minutes.
Yeah.
You
can almost breathe through loose dirt.
Shit.
Shouldn't have brought that up because that's a truly horrible thing.
I'm still get triggered. Anyway, so I don't do confined spaces. Yeah. When I go into MRIs, they have to sedate me a lot.
Yeah, like horse tranquilizers.
You better believe it. If I can remember my name, I'm not going in. The other thing that was happening is because I did know they were going to dig me out. I did think they were going to go off for smoke and maybe have lunch, right? I did know they were actually going to dig me out. There were people watching me go under. And so the only reasonable way or to do it would to get the digger, the tractor digger, to dig the dirt out from over the top of me. And they didn't know where I was, so they did have a good idea of where to dig. And I could hear this thing digging over me, and I thought, you know what? I might survive this bloody lack of oxygen underneath the ground and being crushed, only to have this digger drag my spine out when...
The second time you've made me snort laugh at your horrible misfortune.
And I'm just going, I'm not having a good day. And friggin' finally the digger actually hit one of my shoes, and one of the guys saw it. So they got him with the shovels, then got me out, and I got out of there. And when I got out of there, my old man says, "Where's your shoe?" And I'm going, "I don't know." He says, "I hope it's not in the trench." And I'm going, "It may well be." And he says, "Shoes are expensive, you know." And I was held back.
So yeah, there are some issues.
And some issues. Anyway, so like he goes, your teeth are fine, you can chew. Unfortunately, what happened was they cracked. Now I washed them like with a brush, and they were not too bad. But you can't avoid having stuff get in the cracks and rot from the inside. And so dentists would get in there and they would fill them, and that would work for a while. But then unfortunately, when I got arthritis and had the chemo, the teeth really disintegrated, and what would happen was you'd get these infections inside the tooth, and they would grow and grow and grow and grow and explode. Like I'd be eating something or being there, and like crack out of come. And I was one day having a custard tart.
I was about to say that. When we say eating and then explode, we don't mean like eating something really hard.
No.
I was there when you were eating a fucking custard tart.
And bang, out it comes. And this guy that we were with, Brian, was an international student, and he looked at me and he saw my tooth. He's right in front of me. He sees it go bang. And then he's looked at his custard tart. And then looked at me, and I said, no, the tart's fine. It's really okay. And he just put it down.
And he's probably to this day traumatized by pastries.
So anyway, my teeth were buggered.
Yeah, but they're good now. So now Eric's dropped in. He loves your teeth too.
Thank you, Eric. Thank you, Eric.
I've got to diverge a bit. And just this was posted a little while ago, but we were talking about so. But Nicholas, I'm going, what the fuck? Seriously? A hot chocolate with 30 mils peppermint schnapps, 15 mils creme de cacao, half a bar spoon of creme de menthe, and maybe 45 mils of brandy. I believe that's called I'm an alcoholic, help me.
Jesus, it tastes nice.
It does sound pretty good. That's pretty fun. Speaking of which, I don't know, do you want any of this?
I'd like a taste.
I'll go and get a glass. I'm just going to get a bit more ice.
Am I pointing in the right direction?
Yeah. No. Next one.
Next one. This.
There.
There you go.
Grab yourself a beverage holder.
Drink one. I'm only a little one.
You don't drink much chocolate.
No, it's the meds. It's the meds.
That and the medication, but this is not like a particularly what I'd call high alcohol drink. But have a little taste and smell alcohol. So you don't, unless you want. Oh, they're like completely vodka soaked, so you maybe don't want those.
I'm going to have a taste of Angry's creation,
which we don't have a name for. It's if we're going to name it, it should be something to do with bon vivants, but a berry bon vivant maybe. Blueberry bon vivant. What do you think?
I can see the appeal.
Yeah.
I can see the appeal. The aftertaste is really interesting because there's cider in that, isn't there?
Yes, there's apple cider in there.
Yeah, right. Okay. It's like you've taken a cake and put it in cider.
Yeah. It's basically there's a mix of cider, elderflower, and vodka and blueberries. I just noticed everyone in the chat is saying that chocolate's good for you, so a chocolate-based alcoholic beverage is just all antioxidants and great.
Clearly.
Nicholas says it's called a peppermint patty. Okay. Which is Charlie Brown's lesbian friend, as well as a particular peppermint chocolate confectionery. You remember? Okay, you seem confused by that. How well do you remember Peanuts characters? She was a second-tier character.
Yeah.
Peppermint Patty. She was very tomboyish.
Right.
And she had a sidekick. Oh, his name I can't remember. Who wore glasses? A female sidekick with glasses who always called her sir.
Oh my God, it all comes together now.
No, there's no two ways that bloody Peppermint Patty was a lesbian.
Oh, I had no idea.
No. Let's look it up.
That's really real. Of course, sir. Yes, sir. Oh my God. Oh wow. Okay, so fair enough, sir.
Yeah.
Everyone's got in their family those.
Marcy, that was her name.
Hello.
So that's Peppermint Patty, and Peppermint Patty's like a redhead lesbian, even wearing fucking check shirts and stuff.
Yeah, there you
go. And Marcy called her sir all the time.
Well,
so
see how it goes down. Peanuts was ahead of its time.
Yeah, George Schultz was very progressive and had clearly lesbian preteen characters in it.
And a militant feminist. What was Charlie Brown's friend? Who was a piano player?
The piano player was Dude Schroeder.
Oh, no, her,
her. Lucy, who, the football gag, Catherine. Lucy would steal the football from Charlie Brown.
Charlie tried to kick it.
And there was brilliance in Peanuts. It ultimately just became a marketing thing to sell products and whatnot. But particularly in the early years, there was brilliance and social commentary in Peanuts.
And then it all became about Snoopy and
Eric Silver, your first crush was a redhead lesbian. How'd that work out for you, buddy? I mean, I know I've gone after some unattainable females in my time.
We all have.
I've actually
drawn
the line at how much I'm willing to self-flagellate. I don't bother chasing lesbians, thinking like, no, she just hasn't met me yet. No, I'm aware of people and how they work.
I had an interesting time of it for a while. Okay, I had a series of young lady friends of a sexual nature, who after me became lesbians. Now that doesn't look good.
I know someone else this happened to, but yeah,
it doesn't look good.
You were like the last guy they did it with.
Right, and friends of mine, I say friends, were basically saying, you are now no longer allowed to have relations with women because you're turning them into lesbians and they're running out. And I'm going, that's very difficult to argue with, and I'm not feeling very good about myself or my style of sexual accomplishment. And happily, one of my friends said, no, you've got it all wrong. Basically, these girls are deciding to be lesbians first, but they want one really good one to go out on. Thank you, baby
That's a
girl.
good way to put it.
Thank you, darling girl. I did not love her more than I could have at that point.
Yeah.
She was fabulous. She's died, unfortunately, but she was fabulous.
Whereas
only shut up this guy, like shut him right down. You know when you shut someone down, and it was like, and he was like, his idea of jokes and fun was like, you know, making people cry. That was his fun. He was a horrible human being, and he just got slammed shut. As he got told this, and the girls around laughed, and one of the other ones said, yeah, it's like that. I'm going to have a go next. And I'm thinking, thank you.
Whereas, I think only 2 of my girlfriends took up with ladies afterwards.
Yeah.
And I don't know if it was permanent or, you know, they just like to play both teams.
Yeah.
I see Mega Leach just summed it up. Once they've experienced the best, no more point trying.
Thank you, Mega Leach.
It's like, close that book.
Thank you, Mega Leach.
Close that book.
Thank you.
That's good.
Most appreciated.
Okay, Eric's excuse for having a crush on a redhead lesbian was they were both in the 3rd grade. So
that's fair.
That's fair.
That's fair.
And you're still friends, so that's good.
That's fair.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, it's difficult to put together all the social contexts when you're in the 3rd grade. Really?
Yeah. I mean, my first ex-girlfriend who took up with a lady, she was Shona. You remember Shona?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, she was pretty goddamn hot.
Well,
I always feel like I'm batting out of my league with women, quite honestly. It's like, for some reason, really quite hot women, including Mrs. Angry, think, okay, I'll do it with him. And I'm like, well, thank you.
It is something that was known at our university. That this guy could bring down.
Yeah, what are they doing with you? Don't know, but I'm not complaining.
He was like, you know, he would bring down whales. We would go fishing for minnows, and he would like bring this thing on shore.
After first year, I hasten to add, my first year at uni was a fucking disaster. And for some reason, you won't even know that because you weren't at the uni at this point. A mate that I went to school with, and we both went to the same uni, 3 fucking times in 1 year, girls that I really fancied went, oh, your mate's all right. I'm going, the fuck? Come on, Dave, you can't hang out with me anymore.
Come on, Dave, throw me a freaking bone. What are you doing?
3 times in 1 year. May do that. But anyway, so but when she told me, I was on the phone, I think she's telling me, because I stayed friends. I can think of one ex who I am not friends with, but the rest of my exes I'm friends with. Or at least on cordial terms with. But this was my first serious girlfriend at uni, and a couple of years later, she's telling me, I'm seeing someone else now. I'm like, oh, good for you, you know. How's it going? And she's going, oh, it's pretty cool. Giggle. Okay, why are you giggling? And then it was like, okay, like, you know, well, and I was just having a little conversation, like, where did you meet? Oh, we were out here, and giggle. And it's like, about the 3rd giggle, and we're only in the early 20s at this point. I'm like, what the fuck is a giggle at the end of every line? She's like, oh, it's just a, and I worked out before she said anything, oh, it's a woman, isn't it? And she's like, yes. And then she's like, are you upset? No. And I'm not upset. That's fine. You know, it's nothing to do with me. She goes, no, giggle. And I think she did say, are you going to masturbate thinking about this later? And I'm like, you can't stop me.
Exactly.
You can't stop me.
Exactly. You're not going to basically be in charge of what is going on inside the movie reel in my head.
Yeah.
Frankly, folks, you don't want to know.
Send me photos. Okay, RC, I don't know where you're getting that rumor from, but I like it quite a lot. RC wants to know if it's true you had fist fights with every member of Skyhooks at one point. That is just the best invented rumor that I've heard.
That's awesome.
That's a very Australian rumor for anyone who doesn't know.
We need to spread that.
Skyhooks were quite big in the late 70s, and they died off pretty badly in the 80s.
Yes, they did.
The only one of whom is still in the public eye is Red Simons, who did a lot of TV in the 80s and 90s.
He's very clever at reinventing himself. He's done it quite a few times.
And he's been working on ABC radio for the past 10 or 15 years.
Yeah.
And he had a whoopsie recently, either a medical misadventure or a fall.
Yep.
But he's back on deck, as it were. You want a better rumor, RC? I don't know. This will be for old school Australian YouTubers or people who know the Australian, particularly Melbourne, comedy scene. Sean Bedlam, who was one of the first Australian YouTubers to make any sort of headway. And in fact, when I first started on YouTube, I started searching for Australians who were on it, and he was one of the first ones I found. And I asked him, like, well, what are you doing? How do you do it? And how do you get an audience? And he gave me some very useful tips. And more recently, he's been doing stand-up and political activism. But the big rumor about him is he's in TISM, or he is part of TISM. There is like 8 people who technically are part of TISM. And really strong rumor is he was in TISM. And he wanted, there's only, still to the best of my knowledge, there's only one person who's unmasked.
Yeah, there's only one who's ever admitted
it. Dude, and he still does live performances without hiding his identity. And he was the Ron Hitler Barassi.
Yeah.
He was like central vocal guy in TISM.
Yes.
Not the only vocalist in TISM, but he was the main one, and he still does stuff.
Yeah.
Does live performing.
The reason these guys masked themselves was they were lawyers and doctors and teachers. Yeah,
they had day jobs.
They had like fairly serious day jobs that they couldn't really, expose themselves to the kind of stuff they were doing as TISM. You can find on your electric internet TISM video on YouTube, a series of videos of TISM, and you will see exactly why they masked themselves.
Yeah.
Mind you, they did some pretty amazing stuff.
Yeah.
One of their live concerts, they had the stage with them performing, and up on top of the stage with them performing, they had a live playing of Midsummer Night's Dream. The whole show going on while they were having a concert. You couldn't hear most of the lines when they were talking or singing, but when they were stopped, you could hear the show, you could hear the play. And then when they finished the concert, the play kept on going and finished. And stuff like this. Yeah. And lots of very rude words and lots of satire of Australia.
Yeah.
Stuff.
And they were there's a lot of anti-art stuff in it, like artistry, but being very Dadaist and anti-fame and deliberately alienating audiences and whatnot. They're the one time I saw them live was on the Great Trucking Songs of the Renaissance,
which was a great album.
I've still got that double album. One side is one record is studio and one is live. They would also do poetry. They would do poetry between songs. And Ron Hitler Barassi had an incredibly distinctive voice when he did stuff. And they'd released Saturday Night Palsy as a single. And oh my God, if you want fucking weirdness, look, I was going to say look it up, but I'll actually find you a link on the Tube of You for TISM on Hey Hey It's Saturday.
Oh, that was great.
They did Saturday Night Palsy.
That was great. Which was basically about Hey Hey It's Saturday. It was them parodying the show they were on. It was just awesome.
And it was also as an obvious weird play on Saturday Night Fever. It's a different sort of illness, Saturday Night Palsy. But you watch it, and the people on the Hey Hey show have no fucking idea what's going on in front of them.
They don't. They are absolutely clueless as to what's going on. They've just been effectively given the finger on their own show.
Yeah, I mean, also other things TISM would do, they notoriously, when they were they were never huge mainstream, but they were kind of on the edge a couple times.
They were big cult following.
Yeah.
Big cult following.
And one of the times when they were almost on the edge of being mainstream, I think it was some completely unlikely magazine like Vogue magazine wanted to interview them. They would wear balaclavas all the time.
All the time.
Different thing. And so a couple of TISM people, or possibly not TISM people, possibly other people, who knows, but people in balaclavas showed up in this cafe to be interviewed by Vogue, and they had a tape recorder with them. And every time the Vogue person would ask them a question, they would just hit play on the tape recorder, and it was a recording of an old John Lennon, Paul McCartney interview. And they would just play the next answer from the tape, no matter what the question was, and then hit pause when the response was finished. And the really confused Vogue person would ask them another question, and they would hit play again, and they refused to say anything or respond to the questions. They just play. That's what they would do to the media. And when they finally, I don't know, like they got sick of pranking media people. There was one, remember, it wasn't John Casimir who did it, but remember he worked for that RAM, Rock Australia magazine, the big indie music magazine in Australia in the 80s. They sent someone along, and the TISM person promised, we're not pissing about anymore. This will be a proper interview.
Right.
Because when Casimir tried to interview them once when he was writing for the Sydney Morning Herald, they said, well, fax us the questions and we'll send you responses. And the first question he wrote was, what do I have to do to join TISM? And TISM just faxed back his entire question list and answered the first one that said, answer these questions from this wanker from the Sydney Morning Herald. So he did. The whole article was him answering his own questions. But they eventually said to this music magazine, legit interview. It'll be a legit interview. No pranks, no tricks. We will just answer you ask whatever questions you want for as long as you like, and we will keep answering them, okay? But we still want to preserve our identity and stuff, so it's going to be a secret location. So I'm going to put you in a car and blindfold you, and okay. And so the journo goes, this is going to fuck up somehow. So he's basically self-submitted to a kidnapping, and he's blindfolded in the car. They drive in, and they go, okay, we're getting out now, buddy. Okay, we're going through this door, and through this door, and okay, and there you go. And it was the middle of summer in Australia, so the journo's in a t-shirt and shorts, and he's been walked into a meat freezer. And the guy from TISM is sitting there with a balaclava on and insulated clothes.
Ask as many questions you want for as long as you want.
The dude is saying, sit down, you're there in your shorts and t-shirt in a meat freezer. I'll stay here for as long as you want to keep asking questions.
How hardcore.
And that was the straightest interview TISM ever gave. But I'm going to go back to the questions being asking.
Yes.
Is it okay to punch Nazis?
Gage, well, look, it is. But remember, if you're going to play big boys games, you've got to play big boys rules. So one of the things you're going to engage in when you're punching Nazis is you're going to engage in police behaviour.
Yeah. Because it's illegal to punch Nazis. It shouldn't be.
You should be allowed to just punch Nazis.
But it's illegal.
It is actually illegal to punch Nazis. So you've got to get in as much as you can.
Yeah.
And then respond to questions like, why did you assault actual name of Nazi. And then you've got to go better than because he was a Nazi. That's not a good enough answer for a judge.
Yeah. So you have to not get caught, basically.
B, contingency plan.
Yeah.
Why did you punch the Nazi? Well, because he was being really very offensive. Now, offensive is a squiggly term. Offensive t-shirt, offensive haircut, offensive nose piercing, not enough to be punched. Offensive tattoo, again, not enough to be punched, but offensive in the way of he threatened to kill me is really very good.
If you go, this guy was actually threatening violence on other people, so it was self-defense. That's the thing. Nicholas, I don't know if you're the person who said this on my comments, but they're saying, oh, what about commies? That's bullshit. Regardless of the atrocities committed in the name of communism in the past, and there have been many people who self-identify as commies now don't preach genocide. They don't preach hate crime. If they do, if someone said, I'm a commie and I have decided this entire ethnic group needs to be wiped out, or this entire religious group needs to be wiped out,
that's a punching.
Punch them in the fucking head.
That's a punching.
If someone's preaching genocide, if someone's preaching wholesale murder, snap them in the fucking head.
It's time to get physical.
No, but see, this is the difference between I'm not punching Nazis because I disagree with Nazis. Nazis are anathema to humanity. They are threatening genocide. They are preaching hate crimes. So and fucking read your fucking history, for God's sake. Like, when we start looking at what's happening in America now with a blatant white supremacist in a White House who is actively emboldening actual Nazis, like Hitler-loving, swastika-wearing, race-hating Nazis, that is a bad thing.
Yes.
Okay?
It's an actual bad thing.
When you need to look at your history, when you see politicians and media normalizing Nazism and just saying, well, it's just an ideology. No, look at the rise of Hitler and the actual Nazis. The media and politicians were normalizing Hitler and his brown shirts up to and including when they were murdering people in the streets.
And so, in that scenario, you've got to basically stand up to simple humanity rules. Look, when you were 5 years old, right, you learned right from wrong. You don't have to get technical. It's very easy. If it's hurting you or someone else, then it's wrong. If it's helping you or someone else, and especially helping everyone at once, it's right. And when it's not very grey when Nazis give it a little bit of these individuals all have to die. That's wrong. When commies give it a little bit of the workers should unite and give everyone a fair go, and the bosses should be stripped of all their stuff. I mean, it's just socialism.
Yeah.
Wear brown. Dull colours. It's just whatever. If they give it a little bit of, oh, we're out to kill all the Jews, no.
And Engage, I'm going to address your question there. If you say it's okay to punch Nazis, why wouldn't a similarly dim-witted Nazi see its justification to punch detractors? Nazis don't need justification to hurt and murder people. It's what they do. It is their core being. So that argument, and I understand where you're coming from, because you are a reasonable person.
Absolutely.
And you are saying, wait, if we say it's okay to punch Nazis, won't Nazis think it's okay for them to punch people? They already think that. They regard entire sections of humanity as inferior to them, and they believe it's not only reasonable to murder those people, they actually believe it's their duty. So punching the fuck out of Nazis won't make it more likely for Nazis to punch the people they hate. That's what they already do. That's what they do. So if you don't punch them, and history has shown us this repeatedly, their power gets entrenched and grows. And even, they're not very bright. These fuckheads in America are saying they're so stupid, they make it clear, well, if we're going to get punched in the fucking head every time we go out in public, we can't go out in public. If we try and preach our hate message and someone shuts us the fuck down, we won't be able to preach our message anymore. They make it really easy. They make it clear that if you shut them the fuck down, they can't keep going.
And look, frankly, any group that basically says another human, because of what they are or who they are, is inferior and they should be wiped out. Any group that does that basically needs to get a reality check in the form of force.
Yeah, shovel to the fucking head for a reality check.
It's basically, it's a sad thing, but history has shown when you hate groups who inferiorize and other groups of people because they just don't like them, they get more emboldened and they start ethnically cleansing. It happens a lot. It has happened a lot. It has happened a lot in history, and it has happened a lot in prehistory. You know, as far back as you can go, as far back as you can get records, there's been groups of people who've gone, we're obviously better than X, therefore X has to go down, therefore we're right. There's usually some kind of deity on their side. There's usually some kind of there's some kind of reason within the philosophy that basically says the inferior people have done us wrong somehow. And lots of cultures have that. Lots of cultures have that, but not all of them basically then turn around and say we're going to kill them. Some cultures, let's just say Denmark, say we don't like what these cultures are doing. What we're going to do is teach them ways that we think we can get along with. And bugger me, all of a sudden you're getting a mix of people who are learning to get along with one another. Again, Melbourne, Australia is a perfect example of how this works.
Yes.
You know, in Melbourne, Australia, you're going to meet someone who doesn't know your language maybe once or twice a day. And instead of like punching on, the first thing you do is you step back and go, okay, what do we both need? And we work it out. And you see this on trams and trains every day. And it takes 10 seconds longer. Then all of a sudden you get people going, oh, yeah, great, okay, shaking hands and smiling and leaving, you know. And it's good for tourism, by the way. It's very good for your economy. And it's a easier, friendly way to do it. You don't have to like what another culture is doing, but if you can show them that you can exist together in a better way, then you can do it. You can do it. It does work.
I just feel compelled to respond to Gage. You're saying you don't know about modern day violent Nazis murdering people. You need to fucking read, okay? In Charlottesville, that cunt in a car murdered one person, ran down a whole bunch of people. This is what they do. White supremacists do murder people in the name of their ideology. Anders Breivik murdered people in the name of his ideology. Okay, saying they don't have the following, Gage, they've got the fucking president of the cunting United States, for fuck's sake. I mean, what the fuck more do you fucking need when that cunt is an obvious white supremacist who employs people who are blatant white fucking supremacists? What in fuck are you not paying attention to the blatantly fucking obvious stuff that's going on around you? For fuck's sake, saying Nazis don't have any fucking power, what in the actual fuck are you thinking? And Nicholas, you said, should we call them neo-Nazis since you can if you want. I just call them cunts. But white supremacists, for fuck's motherfucking sake, they have power. They have immense fucking power. Trump called these cunting fucking murderers good fucking people. I said Trump is a white fucking supremacist. That is a simple, provable fucking fact. He employed that Nazi fucking cunt on his fucking staff. If you are pretending that Trump isn't a white supremacist who is actively pandering to fucking Nazis and fucking white supremacists, you need to wake the motherfucking fuck up.
And there's all kinds of physical, historical, and today we've got this fantastic communication system which records everything. You can go back and search pretty much anything any public figure said or done in front of any press conference and put it together yourself. You don't have to. You don't have to wait for local events. You can actually show what people have said in the past, and you can take them to task over that. You know, white supremacy has been a thing for since wooden sailing ships basically were good at navigation. White supremacy has been a thing since then. Now, the way they got around it, because they had a code of ethics enforced upon them for about 800 to 1,000 years previous to this, the way they got around it was, because in their code of ethics it says that nobody is better than anyone else, and it's just quite it's quite blatant in there. And the way they got around it was that they said that you are allowed to take someone who is not human and use them how you want. And so what the white supremacy movement does is they try and make anyone they don't like not human. So look out for that. As soon as you hear or see someone basically giving it a little bit of, this group of people are different from us and they don't behave like us, the next step is they are not us and they're less than us. And as soon as you get to there, you get a validation for supremacy going on. And people who are basically not rich, people who are basically not advantaged will catch on to anything that gives them a sense of dignity. And if they can turn around and go, oh, it's not my fault that I'm unemployed, it's their fault that I'm unemployed. It's not my fault that I'm less advantaged, it's their fault that I'm less advantaged. Therefore, they're the problem. And you see those patterns happening historically all the time. And you see those patterns evolving all the time. One of the reasons that Angry and myself are very passionate about this is that in our own country, this pattern of behaviour was enshrined in our constitution. It was basically put in there to disadvantage the first peoples of the country. It was really very full on for a long time and dehumanized and disadvantaged all these people for a very long time. And today we're still trying to repair the damage that was done hundreds of years ago. We're still trying to repair that damage. And it's still, even with most people on board with trying to reintegrate as valued people, the first peoples of this country, with most people on board with that, the first peoples of this country are massively disadvantaged, massively. This is institutionalized behavior that happened for a long time. It's slimy, it's sneaky, and it goes on while you're not watching. If you're not actively watching for especially white supremacy, it'll happen. Look, it'll happen in your streets, it'll happen in your churches, it'll happen in your politics, and all of a sudden it's overwhelming. So that's when to get actively anti-white supremacy. And how do you get actively anti-white supremacy? You get actively coalescive. You get actively friendly with strangers. You get actively friendly with people who are different to you. You find out how the people that are different to you can enhance your life. You find out how they sing, they dance, they laugh. What is about them that you can bring into your own practices and ways of being. You know, Australia's very into food. And when each wave of immigration comes to Australia, it's like, what do you cook? That's often an entree into learning about the new culture. We have things like, we have morning rituals that we didn't have 80 years ago. Everyone has coffee in the morning. That wasn't a thing.
Yeah, that's the Italians after World War II.
It's like, it wasn't a thing. No one had coffee. We didn't have coffee. Now everyone has coffee. You wouldn't think about starting coffee. Australian coffee is much, much stronger than American coffee and English coffee. It's very, very strong. You know, it's basically expected to come into little cups about that size, made out of paper with a plastic lid. Everybody's expected to come into work with one of these. And if you don't come into work with one of these, the boss wants to know if you're really serious about working today. It's a thing that has become central to how we operate. So we have the way that we now market, operate, use, utilize, and treat real estate, property, has been shown to us by the recent wave of Vietnamese immigration. Basically, they really sharpened up the way that real estate works in the country. At the moment, we have a lot of trouble with housing prices being so expensive that no one can get into it anymore. However, without the Vietnamese, they would have skyrocketed to the point that it would be impossible for anyone but the super elite to buy housing. Really sharpened up practices of getting people finance to get homes. You know, it was a massive contribution by these people. And see, what happens is as people turn up and they're different to you and they're culturally different to you, they bring to you things that you didn't know you were going to have. It's a little bit like science research. You don't know what's going to happen at the end, but they do bring new and interesting and wonderful things to you. Yeah. Happens all the time. Happens all the time. It's been happening for thousands of years in Australia.
Yeah, it's interesting you bring up the Vietnamese, because we had a wave of Vietnamese migrants and refugees post the Vietnam War, 70s, early 80s, which caused certain people consternation at the time. Some people who were very slow, like Pauline Hanson, got upset about it 20 years later.
It had been and gone. By the time she got freaked out, it had been and gone.
You know what is interesting? There's an Australian film from the late 80s or early 90s, Romper Stomper. Russell Crowe is the lead. Young Russell Crowe before he was famous. It's about neo-Nazis in the inner west of Melbourne, in Footscray. And they don't like this of it being taken over by the Vietnamese. I saw the movie when it came out. It was very controversial. I didn't agree with the people who said it's pro-Nazi. Like David Stratton from the movie show was very upset by it. And what I thought is that kind of reaction was really lame, because what the filmmaker did, he made the lead neo-Nazi, Russell Crowe, really charismatic, insightful, and intelligent. Because you need to understand that some Nazis are charismatic, intelligent, and insightful. They're very fucking persuasive. That's right. That's how they get people in. And because the filmmaker dared to make this film where he didn't constantly go, ooh, aren't these Nazis bad? Aren't they awful? You had to reject the Nazi message to find them awful. If you as a person didn't actively reject the Nazi message, the racist message, you might have ended up on their side. That's about you, not the movie. I thought that some left-wing people, some progressive people, and notably David Stratton on the movie show, who said this is a terrible movie and shouldn't be made because he didn't condemn the Nazis. He did. He did. Because he presented what they were.
He did condemn the Nazis. The movie condemns the Nazis completely and utterly in every single layer of that movie. Yeah. Basically, you can see clearly and appropriately what these people are about. Yeah. And, you know, and I actually remember people saying, oh, it didn't condemn the Nazis. And it's like, bullshit, it really condemned the Nazis. It showed every ugliness that happens when you get white supremacy going on. Yeah. And it showed also the kind of self-destruction that happens when you allow white supremacy to run rampant. Yeah. And that happens every time. Yeah. The self-destruction of white supremacy is phenomenal. Yeah. Every time, by the way, throughout history, you let white supremacists go nuts, and it completely disintegrates. Yeah. You've basically got to rebuild society. Yeah. Every time.
So I watched Romper Stomper when it came out in the cinemas. I was living in Sydney at the time. Pretty full-on film, very confronting, very good film. And when I moved to Melbourne about 20 years ago, I moved to Footscray. I lived in Footscray. And then I watched Romper Stomper on video. And I'd forgotten it was set in Footscray. And Footscray at that time, and up until recently when it's become a bit more African, is a very Vietnamese suburb. And so it gave me an additional layer of enjoyment to the movie, because it's set in the late 70s, early 80s, with the neo-Nazis wanting to keep the Vietnamese out of Footscray, and that didn't work. And so I got an additional level of enjoyment out of the movie, like, well, you guys really fucking failed, didn't you? Keeping the Vietnamese out of Footscray, that didn't work. And it made it a much better suburb, quite honestly.
Well, yeah, it did. And Footscray, Vietnamese Footscray is very vibrant. Yeah. It's very, I'm going to say commercial.
It is. Very
this is a group of people who are not interested in exclusivity. They're not interested in get out of here white guy. They're interested in get in my shop. Yeah. Come in my shop and buy my stuff. You know, you happen to be white. Fantastic, because the color of your money is exactly the same as mine. So look at my stuff and buy it, and you know, they present their gear in a way that is very, very seductive and very vibrant. There are New Year festivals there every year, which are fantastic. You know, it's like look, I'll just do the headlines. The good spirits bless the shop. The bad spirits are scared away by fireworks. Yes. And you give money to the good spirits, and you throw your bad luck at the bad spirit. And each shop has this ritual happen during this time every year, and it's you know, there's like big food stalls, and there's lots of stuff going on, and there's bands, and it's, you know, it's a great way to hang out. You know, you can be there, and it's cool and it's fun.
Mind you, Stella brings up a point that I was about to make. And the last 10 years or so, there's been a significant African migration into Footscray, both migrants and refugees. And that created some consternation among some people. But while you say the Vietnamese have been racist, I also think the people who liked it most were the Vietnamese who've been around since the 70s, because they got to stand out the front of their shops and go, geez, Footscray was better before all these Africans got here, wasn't it? I seriously think of... they have been, there have definitely been negative and racist incidents towards the African right, but I seriously think the Vietnamese are the happiest that the Africans moved in, because they get to stand there and go, geez, Footscray was better before all these Africans got here, wasn't it?
He's right, man.
I also want to address Sue saying there's like a family joke there. Did I get this shirt from Simon, who's my older brother? Flannelette shirts are warm and comfortable, okay? And I have several in my wardrobe.
I also too.
I am, and this is not from some trendy fucking shop. This is Big W flannelette shirts right here. Big W and
Big W.
Yeah.
Someone's putting on theirs and Grace's.
No fucking best and less for me. Straight to Big W.
Well, okay. Sorry, I'll have to clean up my act. I get my flannelettes from lesbians.
Oh my god. Okay.
Third hand.
You just reminded me of one of my bizarre things. I said when I first moved to Melbourne, I moved to Footscray because my partner at the time, the mother of my children, we moved here because our firstborn had arrived. He's about to turn 20. I'm so fucking old. So yes, young Ms. Angry turns 20 in fucking January. No, November. What am I saying? I said January because I moved to Melbourne in January after she was born, because the in-laws were all here. That's where all the babysitters were. Neither I nor my partner at the time had any family in Sydney where we were living. So it's like, hey, all the fucking babysitters are in Melbourne. And this was the first grandchild on her side of the family. And so we moved down to Melbourne. It's like January will be 20 years for me in Melbourne. And when I looked at, they lived like out fucking St Albans, right? Way out west. And I didn't want to live that far out. And so I literally looked at map of Melbourne, street map of Melbourne, and went, okay, there's the city and there's St Albans, so I've got to make some concession to the family living way out west, but I'm not living that far out west. And I went, what's halfway? And it was like, Footscray was halfway. So I went, well, Footscray is about halfway. That seems like a good trade-off. And when I showed it to the in-laws and said, thinking of moving here, and my partner's younger sister said, oh, you don't want to live there. There's been shootings there. But I didn't hear her correctly. She said there's been shootings. There's been shootings there. I thought she said lesbian shootings there. And I was like, okay, I need more information. Because if it's lesbians doing the shootings, I might be at risk. Like they might go, fucking male oppressors, pow, pow.
He's coming right at me.
But if it was lesbians being shot, that's unfortunate, but I'm not particularly at risk. Even if I wear flannelette, I'm not particularly at risk. So when I said back to her, what lesbian shootings happened, she just looked at me like, what the fuck is wrong? There was a little confusion, shall we say. There was just a little confusion. I was confused about the lesbian shootings, and she was confused about what the fuck are you saying, you idiot?
When I moved to Melbourne, I moved to Brunswick, and every 3 weeks or so, an ice lab would blow up, and you could smell the fumes,
the burning chemicals
coming across the land, and you'd hear it go, like, you know, it was boom, you know, and it was a soft, thunderous boom, and you go, speed lab, all gone,
Fatunch.
and you'd hear the sirens of the fire trucks going to put out the fire. And she was like, I wonder if I've moved to the right place. But I knew I had moved to the right place when I used to play a game which was called I Fucked a Goat. Now, let me explain the game.
Yeah, you explain the game while we're talking about ice. I'm going to get some frozen water.
Okay. So may I grab a water as well?
You want water?
Just water.
Well, there's filtered water over there.
Oh, great. I'll grab some of that.
So we don't always be totally unattended. That means you get this.
Okay, so I'll explain I Fucked a Goat. All right, so what would happen was I would wait for public transport in Brunswick, and people who didn't speak English would also be waiting for public transport in Brunswick at the same stop as me. And I don't know what they're saying, okay? And so I would start to make up what they're saying in my head and basically have their conversation in my head because I don't speak their language. And so it was fun, you know, because, you know, I could make up whatever the hell I was saying, you know. How's the price of fish today? Well, I don't know about the price of fish, but
I fucked a goat.
I fucked a goat, and it was awesome. You should try it. I've got pictures. And you know, sometimes it'd line up really well, and sometimes it wouldn't. But anyway, one time I was there, and there was these two Muslim women there, African Muslim women, and they were sitting in the bus stop, and one of them was having quite an animated conversation with her friend, and basically I was playing I Fucked a Goat, and she said in my head, she said, well, how's the husband doing? And she's replied, oh, he's given cancer to dogs again. He's got to stop letting them fuck him in the ass. What? Fuck him in the ass? Oh, God, it's ridiculous. He prolapses on command. And when I've said on command, she's like put her head forward and done a syllable. I shat myself laughing. I laughed my ass out because it had never really lined up so perfectly before. Okay. This woman has then turned to me and started talking to me in Arabic in an animated and angry fashion. She now has decided that I'm laughing at her. I can understand what she's saying, and whatever she said, I thought it was funny. And I'm going, no, I'm just, no, ignore me. I know one. She stood up now. She looks like the kind of woman who was used to not taking shit since she was 5, right? So she stood up and like she's coming at me. I'm going, oh, fuck hell, I'm in trouble here. So I start backing off, right? I start backing off down the road, and I'm just like, she gets her umbrella out, and she's clearly going to strike me with it. I go, oh, fuck hell, I'm in shit here. I've got to go. So I started like, I'm trying to placate her. No, she's not having it. And no I'm going, right, so I'm starting to run away. Oh my God. And so there's a few Turkish lads up the road, and she's running after me, and she screams at them, and they go, and they speak back in Arabic, and they grab me, and I've gone, I am about to die. This is the end. And one of them grabs me really hard and says, righto, mate, this way, real quick, just make it look good. I'm thinking, hope. So we run down this alleyway and we dive into a backyard, right? And they shut the gate and they said, right, we are going to make the sound of you getting the shit kicked out of you. Make it sound good, okay? And I've gone, yes. And so they were like hitting the fence, and they're like making sound, and I'm, oh God, oh my, ow, ow, ow. And I said, broken rib. Time to get on the ground. Sounds better. So I'm on the ground. Oh my God, oh my God. And then one of them is looking through a gap in the fence, and he says, "It's okay, she's gone now." Right. I get up, and I'm now surrounded by the guys, and I'm going, "Guys, I obviously got to thank you. I don't quite know why the fuck I pissed her off." And they said, "Well, what happened?" Right? You know, and I explained to them the game of, "Oh, I fucked a goat." They think this is the funniest shit they have ever heard in their life. They are pissing themselves laughing, right? And so we're sitting in the backyard, and out comes the shisha, and out comes the food, and we're just fucking having a chat. I don't know these guys. I've never met them before, and we're just chatting. And I end up staying there. I had a gig that night, and that was why I was waiting to stop. And I missed that gig, and I ended up chatting to these guys till 2 o'clock in the morning. And they were like calling their mates up, going, "You got to come around here, you got to hear this is the fucking funniest thing ever." And they explained to me this woman was angry because she was, in fact, talking about her husband, and she thought that I had shamed her. She was known around the area for beating the fuck out of people. She was really known for it. And so the guys basically had heard her go, "Grab him, he's fucking we're gonna kill him." And so they've gone, "Yep, okay, no problem, we'll do that."
Yeah.
And they've gone, you know, she's actually got to be a bit careful because the police have been around to her a lot, going, "You've got to stop hitting people, it's really not on." And so we chatted, and I learned all about her story, and they learned all about my story. And I'd never smoked shisha before, and it was amazing. And I ate a lot of food, and basically by just sharing, I got myself inculcated into this culture and this place that I lived. And I loved Brunswick. I lived there for as long as I possibly could. Then I ran out of rent and I had to go.
Yeah.
But it was a good place. There was a lot of Muslim culture there. There was a lot of Turkish culture there. There was a lot of old skippies, and there was a lot of we were starting to get a new mix of there were Ethiopian Jews, and there were some African Muslims in there who were connected to the Ethiopian Jews. It was a very complicated mix, but Brunswick was a very eclectic mix of people. There was like people from everywhere. In fact, there was a UN task force there, and what they did this thing. The council did this thing, and they found out there was an Inuit family moved in, and therefore we had in Brunswick every known race and nationality in the world. Right now, the Inuit family actually moved out again, but the UN was very interested in this because what they said was, okay, so all these people are living together and they're not killing one another. They're not actually fucking, shooting and killing one another. This is the only place this is sort of happening. What is it about? And it wasn't like a secret mission. They weren't hiding, but they just weren't publicising themselves, right? And they were operating out of the city council. And so this UN mission was trying to do the sociological studies about Brunswick, about what was it about Brunswick that meant that you could have people of different backgrounds living together and not actually trying to kill one another. And they released an initial report, and there were two things. They said it's something to do with trams. And it's also something to do with the fact that Australia is the place you run to when you've had conflict. When there's been conflict in the world, you run to Australia because it's the other end of the world and nothing will follow you. And there's this unwritten rule that when you come to Australia, you leave whatever it was behind. And you just fit in, you do the thing, and your kids become doctors, and it's all going to be good. But you leave whatever it was over behind.
Which doesn't work universally, but it works mostly. We still get assholes.
There's assholes everywhere. Throw a rock, hit a dickhead.
You know, we've got assholes in Supermax prisons because they planned big terrorist attacks. And we've got assholes who are white people who try to cause trouble with the people who've run here. It's not perfect. It's not a utopia.
No, there's no utopia.
It's broadly speaking works well. I think there's a few comments in there like Shadow Eyes saying your stories would work well as a TV show. Mike wants them as skits in his theatre show. Nicholas thinks they should be published. So that's a good thing. I like that. And a biography, yeah, this is good. Well, I want to say because Franco Cozzo came up. Stella mentioned Franco Cozzo. If you're not in Melbourne, you might not know who Franco Cozzo is. He ran a huge fucking multi-story furniture shop in Footscray, as he said,
and Brunswick.
But Footscray was the headline, and it was very Italian furniture that Franco Cozzo ran, like super woggy.
Big time.
And he's an institution, and he's a wonderful man. He became a fucking Melbourne institution, and he specialised in those cheap make-your-own TV ads that were hilarious to watch, but somehow became culture. And Franco Cozzo was notorious. You do the big wide arms going, grande sale, grande sale, grande sale, which meant grand sale. And recently, last couple of years, I'm going to show you some pictures you should be able to see. On Footscray, the entire fucking wall of his 2-story furniture warehouse was turned into a mural of him, and it's fucking beautiful. And I took a photo. Like, here's a photo on my phone. That's an artwork of Franco Cozzo, 2 stories fucking high. It's fucking beautiful. But as I take this picture, you notice here, there's a car in the garage of the workshop. Whose car is that, you ask? That's Franco fucking Cozzo's car, and he sees me he's washing his car, and he's not some lackey. Franco Cozzo is washing his own car, thank you very much. And he sees me taking the photo, and he goes, "Oh, my friend, how are you?" And I go, "Oh my God, it's Franco fucking Cozzo, Franco fucking Cozzo." He's like a fucking Melbourne institution.
He's a legend, he's an icon, right?
And I went and talked to him and said, "My friend, this art is wonderful. You are wonderful. You are such a part of this city." And he's just the nicest fucking person ever. And I said, "Look, this is possibly a big ask, but this would be among the happiest days of my life if you would pose for a photo under the mural, striking the same pose." And I fucking have it, and I've kept it on my phone. There's Franco Cozzo posing under giant Franco Cozzo. And he is the best fucking person in the world. I delete many photos off my phone. I will never delete that photo off my phone.
Not that one.
I mean, that was fucking like I was getting. There's a uni campus there, which is what I was going to on the day, and I came up on a tram. There was a couple of stops before I was going to get off, but I saw this giant This was a couple of years ago. So this giant Franco Cozzo mural, and said, "Well, I have to get a picture of that." And he was there. He was there, and he was the nicest person. And I just said, "Look, it's kind of a big ask, but would you pose for me under things doing it?" And he, "Oh, my friend, yes." And it's just like, "Oh my God, you're a fucking legend. Franco Cozzo is such a legend."
Yeah.
Like, it went from being a weird joke, like why Franco Cozzo's ads so bad, and why is the furniture also woggy, to we love Franco Cozzo so much. Yeah. And like that mural is fucking huge. It is so, I mean, you got Franco Cozzo for scale there. Like the face on the Franco Cozzo mural is about 6 foot tall. Yeah. And so with the arms outstretched, that is like so I got that picture of real Franco Cozzo under mural Franco, and it's one of my prized possessions. It's only pixels.
There's some really wonderful wall art in Melbourne. There's some really wonderful stuff.
If you don't already, you should follow me on Instagram, because I post stuff on Instagram all the time, which also goes to my Facebook and Twitter. But I just always take pictures of it. Yeah.
And it evolves, because so a piece will come up, right? And it's awesome. And you'll see it and you just go, that's just amazing. And then 6 months later, it's been completely spread over and there's something else awesome up there. And it just moves and evolves and moves and evolves. And depending on where you are, and depending on what's going on locally too, there's this really great series of little graphs down where I live, over in Northcote in Melbourne. And as you go past the shops have little bays in them to go in this little stretch of road. They have little bays, wall bays to go in, and the door is inset. And as you come along, there's this little girl, and she's got a paint can, and there's a tap pouring paint into the paint can. Then the next shop, she's lifting this paint can and walking with it. And then the next shop, which happens to be the outer wall, she's thrown the paint all over the wall, right? So it's all sprayed all over the wall, and there's this little little tag on it, "Be free." And it's this awesome little series of art that someone's just done, you know, overnight. And yeah, it happens to me all the time. It's really wonderful.
And what AIDzee said about taking months or 6 months, it's really weird. It'll vary depending where it is. There's a piece of artwork that's Crying Sonic the Hedgehog that I posted probably my first year on YouTube, which is over 10 years ago. And that's still there. But in other, and I think it's been touched up a couple of times, in other lanes, stuff will only last days or weeks before it's completely morphed over. And other places it takes months. So it's very interesting. Some stuff is more or less permanent. Some stuff is transient in terms of you'll be lucky if it lasts a day.
Yep.
Some might last weeks, some might last months, but none of it's permanent. But while we're talking about it, I just felt this is one of my favorite I've kept, because it's just pixels now. And I like it. Sometimes when you show someone a picture of a really good piece of street art that doesn't exist anymore, they say, oh, that's sad that it doesn't exist. And yeah, on one level, yeah. But the nature of it is it's ephemeral. And that's one of the things I like. This is one from Hosier Lane, one of the most famous ones, the Heath Ledger Joker image. It was really good. It was just in a doorway that opened onto a cellar in a theatre. And you can kind of see the door frame around it. And that only lasted for a couple of weeks before it was painted over. It's a beautiful piece. But I'm perfectly okay with it being transient.
That's right, because it moves, and the city moves, and it moves with.
Yeah.
You know, and as things happen in the city, you see the response. You know, some of it's political, some of it's social, some of it's spiritual, and you see the response of the artists as it happens, and it makes you think. There's this really lovely. At the back of my place, which I'm not going to say where it is, because my boyfriend will kill me. Someone has in the concrete, in the street at the back of my place, you know, wet concrete, you can do stuff. So there's a few things down my way. They've actually done little paintings. There's one of a little girl fishing the moon out of water, which is, you know, kind of cool, and that's in concrete. There's one of a dog who's got a car, and it's actually got the car up in its jaws, and a little further along down the path is an owner face palming. It's a wonderful little bit. Right at the back of my place is this just little sentence that says, "The moon followed me here," and it's just every time you see it, it's like gives you a little bit of
But seriously, if you want to taste, if you're not already following it, either me on Facebook or my Instagram. If you look up AngryAussie on Instagram, you'll see my thread, which is mostly street art. Also, you know, I'll warn you up front: the occasional selfie.
Happens.
Yeah, AIDzee will be in there every now and then. And flowers. I mean, it's not like my YouTube channel. It's actually pretty.
Fairly different.
Yeah. my Instagram is really different. I'm just trying to share nice things on Instagram. Someone wants to get a drink. Sorry, someone in my house is going urinal. So I go, what do you want? What do you want? That's okay. No, you don't have to do that, because you'll find, that's young Miss Angry getting a drink. She did this before. She's really good at hanging a fringe over her face so you don't see it, which I think is pretty awesome.
It's fabulous to see you, young Miss Angry.
But yeah, I mean, like, you look at my Instagram, you look at the thing, you see, oh look, I have to show you this. What do you think you're meant to do with that Snorlax? I saw this today. What the fuck is going on there? What is that shit? What is that shit right there? I mean, fuck me, okay? Or fuck Snorlax, apparently.
Apparently.
That's slippers, okay? So that's, while that looks like a vagina, it's big enough to put. I just saw that and thought, what the fuck?
That's wrong. That's really wrong.
But you see, it's like, you see, it's flowers, mostly street art, occasional selfie, selfie, street. So, you get my aesthetic, as the kids like to say. You see, that's the type of things you see if you go on my Instagram. But I swear to God, I was in an EB Games and I saw that Snorlax and I just, what the fuck? It's like, that is so wrong.
Hey, Angry.
Yes.
You have been known to play the Pokemon Go, haven't you?
Yes. I don't anymore, but I have in the past, yes.
All right. Are there supposed to be Pokemon Goes inside shopping centres?
Okay, yes, is the short answer.
Right. Because I was standing in my local shopping centre when a young man came up to me and said, "Excuse me, please." And there's like a mile of room around me.
Yeah.
Like a mile of room. And I've gone, yeah, hi. He's like, "Excuse me, please." And I've gone, yes, what can I do? How can I help? He said, I need to get through. And I'm looking around and I'm going, are you mentally ill?
Yes.
And I'm going, I'm sorry, I don't understand. He says, well, I'm trying to get up and I don't remember the thing.
Yeah, it'd be a Pokemon. Yeah.
It was a Pokemon, but I don't remember the thing. I'm trying to get the thing. You're on it.
Okay, I'm going to throw in that you're not in the wrong for thinking he's an idiot, because he's an idiot.
Oh, okay.
Because while the GPS, because it's an augmented reality game, and it relies on your GPS in your phone, and the GPS is really flaky, but it's proximity based. You never have to be right on, and people fuck this up all the time. I didn't think people were still fucking it up, but you don't have to be right in a particular spot. You just have to be within a couple meters of a particular spot.
Okay.
So that kid was in here. Oh, look, Anti-Schwager's dropped in. You see, everyone drops in and goes, "Oh my God, love the teeth."
Thank you.
So he's making
good.
He's making mine. They're slightly pearlescent, I suppose, but he's making me want to get my teeth white. Oh yeah. It's making me want to get my teeth whitened again, which I'm sure my dentist would be fucking stoked about, because I'd be giving them another fucking $500. But I have private health insurance, so I get a lot of that.
I do not. And by the way, I'm not allowed to have private health insurance.
No, you cost it. They wouldn't cover you for anything.
We actually, my boyfriend and I, thought, why don't we just check it out? And we did check it out, and we found out that no, if you've got a lot of comorbidities and chronic diseases, they just say no.
So you're
just not allowed.
Rely on the public system. Whereas the main reason I have private health insurance is because I have kids, because I cover my kids as well.
Right.
And for myself, I'm just mildly paranoid, because even in Australia's wonderful public health system, there is still some benefits to having private labs, and you'll get treated sooner.
Yep.
You'll get your own room rather than ward. And it's just like, okay, if I get, there's probably been around this guy.
Yep.
If I get something really fucked, I'd like it dealt with really quickly. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
And so I'm mildly paranoid. So I have fairly comprehensive private health. And at the moment, all it pays for, because I don't get sick that often is my dental work, which I keep updated, which I never used to.
You should, by the way.
Because
just telling you.
Okay, I'm going to say, I don't know if Sue is still on here, but our fucking childhood dentist was a butcher. I think he didn't have a German accent, but I fucking suspect.
Is it safe? Is it safe?
I suspect he was a fucking Nazi scientist who used to torture Jewish prisoners, and now he wasn't allowed to do that anymore. He became a dentist so he could torture little fucking kids. He was Richie McKay, you're a cunt. That was his real fucking name, okay? Pretty sure he's dead now because he was old when I was a kid, and I haven't been a kid for a goodly fucking number of decades, but I don't fucking care. I don't fucking care if you're still alive and you're still a dentist and someone can Google you and find you, Richie McKay, you're a fucking cunt. He fucking, I don't know, I talked about other dentists in my adult life, like, okay, my teeth are really fucked. They've been fixed. They've been fixed in the last 10 years. I talked to dentists and said, look, I didn't go to a dentist for literal decades because my childhood dentist fucking traumatized me and fucking drilled fucking molars without any anesthetic. And he said, and dentists told me, oh, there has been this thing in the past where some dentists had thought kids don't feel pain.
Yeah,
and
that was the thing in the 70s.
This motherfucker drilled a molar with no anesthetic, and it was so fucking bad. And so I avoided, as an adult, I just didn't go to the dentist. Till slightly like AIDzee, I had teeth, well, they didn't, mine collapsed. I had molars that just fucking, I suddenly had a mouthful of teeth pieces with no warning.
And it happens like that.
And so I went to an emergency dentist, and I had teeth fixed up once, and I had fucking root canal stuff, which was actually all okay because it was a good dentist and she used anesthetic, and it wasn't, the worst thing was having to keep my mouth open for an hour or two, but it didn't hurt. But I was still fucking traumatized, and I did go to dentist for another 10 years after that. Then the same problem happened, but now I've found this good dental practice, and I go every 6 months just to get my teeth cleaned. And they've, like, seriously, when they first did the work, my gums were all diseased. Yeah, when I do my 6 monthly checkup now, it takes 30 minutes, and they just go zzz, and yeah, they get in amongst the gums, and it's a little bit, but it's okay. And it's done. When they first decided to reclaim my fucking teeth, it took 3 sessions of an hour each with super amounts of anesthetic because they were just gouging down into all this fucking infection and pus and shit. And they cleaned it all out. And my favorite thing about this dental practice is that they went, seriously, if we knew how well your teeth were going to recover, we would have done before and after photos and used you in our advertising.
Wow.
Because for fucking real, we thought all your teeth were just going to fall out.
That's cool.
But they did all this gum work, and now my gums are all healthy. Yeah, and Mrs. Angry, sent them a Christmas card saying, no, it's much nicer to kiss him now.
Oh, yeah.
So, but that was like 10 years ago, and I go every 6 months now. So it's like, I mean, it's just crazy. Sue, you have a friend who refuses Novocaine? No, for reals. Every time they're doing something, I'm like, is this going to hurt?
More.
Because my front, you can't tell because it was relatively minor, but my front teeth on both top and bottom had a whole series of little chips in them, and they had sharp edges. When I was bored, I used to do this thing where I basically grate my thumbnail on my teeth. Wow. It was a stupid little habit I had, and it would shred off. And a lot of it was twice in the last 12 months. I've bitten down really heavily on a fork. Like, when you have the wrong amount of fork in your mouth with food in it. And you bite it, crunch, and it fucking hurt.
Not me anymore.
So, no, not you. You won't go. And so my last checkup, they said, look, seriously, there's a couple of chips there. We're worried about the teeth all cracking up. We should do it. And so they did it. And I was like, when I went in to have it done, I was like, do I need local anesthetic because I'm a complete wuss? And they went, no, you won't even feel it. We're not going down that far. It's just surface stuff. I'm like, okay, I'm believing you, but if you fuck with, and I didn't feel anything. And now it's only a couple months ago. I'm still getting used to it because here and here that used to have all these little jaggedy sharp bits is lovely and smooth now. And I'm still getting used. I had to, not as much as AIDzee, but I had to learn to speak again and chew again because the teeth were slightly, like you were completely different. Mine was slightly different. I was like, God, with that tiny little bit on my front teeth, I felt the difference. Fuck, totally new teeth. That's trippy as hell.
I had a wonderful, wonderful dentist when I was a kid. He was so much fun. Like, he'd come in, and because, you know, you're a kid, right? So you're freaking out. And he'd come in and go, "Hey, man, how you doing? Come in, come in, sit down." All right, so, and he had pioneered this thing where he gave you sunglasses because they never used to do that.
Because they put a really bright light in your face.
Light in your face. And like back in the 70s, there used to be this thing where kids didn't feel pain. And it was a stupid thing. It was, they stopped it. But this dentist that I had was a really wonderful guy, and he said, "I'm going to give you a cool pair of sunglasses to wear. Put the sunglasses on, and so the light comes on." And I was used to having to open my mouth really wide. And he said, "Nah, you'll be right." He said, "Well, what we're going to do is we're going to give you some gas so that you're not going to hurt so much." And I'm going, "Okay." And so he's giving me this gas, and this is kind of funny, isn't it? I'm going, yeah, giggle, 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 giggle. So I'm giggling on this gas, and he says, "Okay, my turn." He puts it on himself and sucks it down. And to this day, I don't know if it was real, but I think maybe what he was doing was giving himself air and giving me the gas. I think, but I'm not sure. But maybe he was just like sucking down some gas for fun. I don't know.
Yeah.
But I was totally numbed, and then he'd drill in, and then he'd go, "All right, now what we're going to do now is we're going to give you some needles to make your teeth really not hurt. But what we're going to do that before, we're going to give you some more gas, and you get a bit sleepy, and then we're going to put a cotton bud on your gums." And what it was a numbing agent.
Yeah, like lidocaine.
Like lidocaine or something on the gum, and then the needle would go in. And he said, "This is going to be the worst bit, okay?" And the needle would go in, and it'd be hot. And
they always say a bit of a scratch.
Yeah, a sharp scratch. Yeah. It's
like, okay, getting those needles is not great, but it's like literally it's the worst thing you feel, and then nothing else fucking hurts.
And it's all good. Years later, I went to the dental hospital because my teeth were in a lot of trouble. And this student dentist said basically, "All right, we're going to numb you up." And needle goes in. No numbing, no gas, and bang, needle went in. I'm going, "Ouch, that really hurts, but it's going to be okay." And he ended up having to put 7 needles in me to get the thing that he needed to get at, because what had happened was a tooth had exploded. It had been crushed, and it exploded upwards into my jaw.
So they do like minor surgery.
So they effectively had to stretch both of the teeth out, get in there and drill these roots out, and scrape the jawbone, stitch it back up, and let the teeth come back in again. And it was wonderful experience for a student, and he had a lot of supervision. And they said, "You're going to have to numb that pretty well." And so they said, "This is a new record of numbing," because what they would do is they would numb, then they'd pick a bit and said, "Can you feel this? No. Can you feel this? Yes. Can you feel this? No. Can you feel this? No. Yes. No." And they go, "Right, more then." And the supervisor dentist were going, "Yeah, more.
Yeah.
And the nurse is going, "That's a lot." That's like, and the supervisor then is going, "Yeah, more." So they put 7 needles up there, and numbed it really well, and then got in and got it done. They got this thin tooth, I'm going to say thin tooth, out, and dragged it down with this drill thing, and they're all looking at it, and they're all like stunned, and they're all like going, like, WTF, and they're all like not freaking out in front of the patient. You know, you can see that, you know, and they're all going, And so then the supervisor says, I think we're going to need the opinion of the professor. I will go and get him now. And so they go and get him now. And the professor comes in and says, okay, so what's the big deal? And there was silence. And meanwhile, the nurse has got the sucker thing up because there's like blood really coming, and it's not all red. It's not all red. And there's a lot of it. And meanwhile, I'm going, oh, this is kind of good, because I'm feeling pressure in my jaw coming down, 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 down. And I'm going, because it had been aching for a while. And then it had finally started bleeding, and I thought, I better go to the dentist and get this done. And they said, well, you know, it's an 8-hour wait. And I went, well, it's free, so fair enough, it's an 8-hour wait. Yeah. And as I was talking to them, blood dripped down my face, and I said, it's not an 8-hour wait now. It's in fact, we're going to fit you in 15 minutes now. Would you mind just sitting there, not there, there? I'm
just noticing in the comments how much you're freaking people out. There's a whole succession of people going, I'm traumatized now just listening to this.
So in they go, I get my student, I meet him, and they go, okay, and they check it out, and they I was going to say radar, they x-ray it, and they go, and the student goes, what am I supposed to do about this? And they check it out, and then finally they get it out. Anyway, so they get this tooth thing out, and then the professor goes, we're going to have a small conference now, all of us. Nurse, if you'd stay there and continue doing that, that would be good. And I'm going, this doesn't sound real good at all. And so she's going there, and she's like sucking this crap out of my head. And she's going, it's going to be okay. It's going to be okay. And I'm just going, shit, I thought it was going to be okay when I walked in. I didn't know it was bad. And then anyway, the professor comes back and says, we would like another x-ray if we could. Could you come this way, please? Put wadding in. Put wadding in. So I go and I get another x-ray. Anyway, so I come back and they go, there seems to be a small infection in your jaw, which we need to relieve. I will be doing that. And the professor himself is, and the students watching, the supervisors watching, they're all like, you know. And then he's going, is there numbing? Can you feel that? No. And so the drill goes in, and of course what happens is it hits void. And that was what they were worried about, was there was this void in this tooth, and they didn't realise that it was there because the X-ray had clouded it. They hit this void, it just bangs, it just goes. And like I felt it go in my mouth, and I saw bits of it like come out. The professor's like got this, you know, obviously got his gear on. It's like splash hit him, and he's going, oh, right, okay, that was what we thought. It was right, that's what, okay. And students like, you know, like, have I got the right career? And the supervisor's gone, I've only ever seen that once before. And, and I'm just going, okay, this is interesting. This isn't hurting, but it's obviously very different. The nurse has gone, which one do I suck? Then I thought I might be in trouble. Which one do I suck? And they said, we'll get someone in. And they had 2 suckers in, and they were basically dragging this stuff out. But I promise you, at the end of this session, when they got it all stitched up and all dragged out, which they used really interesting tools to do, looked like easy outs, which they got it all out. I could actually feel my teeth had more room to move, and I felt my jaw, this top jaw here, I felt the pressure had gone, and the dull ache that I'd obviously been, I'd had ages, right? I'd had for a long time. It was probably a couple of years, you know.
Yeah.
But it had all gone, and I felt really good. And they said, don't eat anything for a day, don't smoke for 2 days. And I'm going, yeah, of course. And I was out of there. I smoked cigarettes at that point. No smoking for 2 days. That was never going to happen. Shouldn't do that because it will infect. Another story for another time. But that fixed up okay. And then I met my student, and my student brought my teeth back from the edge of nowhere. And then unfortunately I had the chemo.
I'd say AIDzee is one of the most popular people with the Melbourne medical establishment, both dental and just general medical, because he exhibits stuff that they've never seen before, and everyone from professors to students gets in. Students are being like, oh, this is quite the education, and professors are like, fuck me, I've never seen this outside an autopsy.
I had that. They said that to me once. Like, when I came in for the 4 years gangrene, don't look that up.
Yeah. We have to throw that in, and people always do. Don't do Google image search on 4 years gangrene, which is what AIDzee had.
Don't do that.
And you will, and we warned you. And
don't do it.
It's on you.
Bad. So I had this 4 years gangrene with 40 doctors in the room, and I thought, I must be in trouble here.
I also love the second thing that you know there's trouble, which hasn't happened for a little while, but when you've gone into hospital for one of your emergencies and they say, is there anything you want? And AIDzee goes, some morphine would be good. And they say, okay. And he goes, oh, shit. It's one of those.
Oh, we're in that place.
If I ask for morphine and they say,
yes,
okay.
It's like, oh no.
Shit.
Oh,
it's one of those.
Damn. For a bit. I've got to call for my laptop. I've got to get the TV going.
These dramas were still happening. They haven't happened for a couple years, but they were still happening a couple years ago. And you used to always be texting me like, oh, blah, blah, blah. I'm trying to make sure they don't keep me in hospital. And my response was, right, how the fuck do you stay out of hospital?
Because, like, I'd be due to come to work, right? I'd be due to come to Studio Angry and do a gig. And like, I'd have to text Angry and go, yeah, I'm in hospital. I am trying to get out.
And 9 times out of 10, you'd be out in 24 hours.
I might be late. I might be late. And I would, like, convince them I could go, and they would let me go, and then I'd have to go back.
I swear to God, every single time you got out, I was like, how the fuck do you present with the shit that is you and not be immediately strapped down in intensive care sometimes? Like, since the big event, you've probably only had 2 extended intensive care stays.
Yeah.
Which all at that time, when shit was just collapsing on you, always fucking amazed me.
It was pretty bad. It was pretty bad.
I used to have to tell you at that point, you need to text me every second day at least. Because if I don't hear from you for a couple of days, I assume you're dead.
Right. Which was frankly likely.
Yeah, it was kind of like, people actually heard from AIDzee, not for about a week. Maybe he's dead.
He's dead again. And like, I would always know something was up when I get a phone call at 8:30 in the morning, and it was the laboratory which had tested my blood 2 days before. And they would go, hey, Adrian, how you doing? What are you doing today? I'm doing stuff. Hey, maybe you should go and talk to your doctor now. And I go, oh, all right. And then I get a phone call. Don't look up 4 years.
Jesus, I just thought, is it as bad as, literally while we were talking here, I literally just went, is a Google image search on 4 years gangrene as bad as I remember?
Yes.
And it really
is. Really is. And so I get a phone call from the lab, go talk to your doctor, and then I get a phone call from the doctor. Come in, mate.
I remember these days.
I don't have an appointment. You do now.
Yeah.
You know, no, now. Come in now. And I said, well, you know, you've got other patients. And one time I got a phone call from the lab, go see your doctor. And I thought, oh shit, it's going to be one of those days. So I get a phone call from the doctor, and I go, hey, I just got a phone call from the lab. I guess I'm coming in to see you. And he says, no, you're going to the hospital. You're going to the hospital now. I will meet you there. I'm going, you can't meet me there. You've got other patients. Not today. So when you go to the public hospital in Australia, you get a 6-hour wait, right?
Yeah.
You get a 6-hour wait because it's free, right? And if it's free, you get to fucking wait, okay? And you get to be grateful for it because they will drag your ass off the street every single time, take you into a hospital, and for free give you untold amounts of medical care and get you better again, right? It's a wonderful, wonderful thing, but you get to wait, okay? And sometimes you're in a lot of pain and sometimes things aren't good, but shit happens, you get to wait. Deal. And so I go, all right, I'm going to wait in hospital. I'll take my book and I'll take my phone and I'll take my... So I go in there, I meet this guy. He has the Masonic handshake with the doctors. I don't wait. I go straight in. And basically they do this blood test. And there's 2 types of blood tests. There's a 5-minute one and an hour one. And so they do this blood test and they go, oh, that's wrong. It's stupid. That's wrong. And throw it away. And they do another one, and they the 5-minute one. They've done the hour one. It's gone off, and then they get the 5-minute one again. Oh no, that's stupid. That's wrong. These numbers are dumb. Bad batch. And so they get another 5-minute one, and they do it, and they go, yeah, right.
So that's really
Just,
you. Yeah.
Stay here for a sec. And they go, and the hour test turns into a 15-minute test. Comes back and they say, right, gear off, gown on, walk with us. So I walk in, and we walk into intensive care. You don't walk into intensive care. It's poor form. It's very low action. You don't walk in, you get carried in on a stretcher close to death. Right, that's what intensive care is about, right? You get several people around you checking out your crap 24 hours a day. And I walk in, they go, jump in. I'm going, I can't walk in intensive care. Looking around me, embarrassed, thinking, no, really, jump in. And I find out later that the lab called up the doctor and said, look, hey, I can take a joke like the next guy, but aren't we a bit old for this? And the doctor's gone, you know, the old prank, the medical student prank. You send the dead guy's blood into the lab. What dead guy? This Adrian Calais dead guy, the deceased guy you've sent in. He's not dead. And apparently on the phone, the guy's like, as quiet for a while and says that he's in trouble.
That's why I was laughing before he said that, because I remembered this story.
So that was when the doctor says, I'm going to meet you in there. He called me 3 times on the way in on the public transport saying, you still coming? Yeah, man, I'm on the train. You know, he's still there? Yeah, man, I'm on the train.
A pathology lab literally thinking they'd been given a sample from a dead person.
And so I get in there and the hospital's looking at their numbers and they're going, this is not right. This is really not right. And apparently I had enough electrolytes to run a small dog. But that was all. And they were looking at me going, his heart is still beating. That's not right. And his kidneys have shut down. And his liver has partially died. Guy's in trouble.
Yeah.
And then they also found out that I had a part of my jaw had rotted, had necrotized. Previous to this, right? Previous to this, my jaw was out like this, and I was like going, oh, something's wrong, to the doctors, and they're going, yeah, it's an infection, we'll give you some antibiotics. And I was smoking a cigarette, and the bloody thing exploded, and some nastiness and corruption came out, and it was like I was spitting it all out, and it was all, and it was horrible, but it felt great because all the pressure was off. And then I went back into the hospital. But before I did that, my doctor said, listen, mate, you've got to change your lifestyle because, frankly, if you don't, you've got 2 years to live. And only recently I spoke to the guy and we were talking about that because he was stoked about how well I am now. And he says, look, the best thing for your health is your boyfriend. Frankly, I've got the numbers. Frankly, since he's been on the scene, everything's improved. You've stopped the smoking, you've got off the drugs, you've basically, your actual health has gone up, you're probably eating better, so effectively keep him around, right? And I said, yeah, it wasn't too long ago you only gave me 2 years to live. And he said, yeah, we were just saying that. We really thought it was months.
Oh, so did I. Jesus.
We were looking at you thinking you were on your way out in a fairly continuous fashion. You were done.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, I see. And like, this is after I'd recovered from the 4 years gangrene.
Yeah.
And when I was in the 4 years gangrene, there was 45 doctors in the room, and they're all like checking it out. And going, I think I'm in a bit of trouble here. And an intern that was trying to put parts of himself into another intern was showing off, and he said, oh, we're very lucky to see this. We usually only get to see the post-mortem slides. And happily a registrar went and grabbed him and like beat him up.
Stop telling the patient they should be dead.
So that's a corridor conversation. That's not in front of the patient conversation. That's a corridor conversation. And then the next corridor conversation happened immediately afterwards. This doctor woman comes up and says, oh, can I put the catheter in, because that'll be my 5 and I'll be qualified. Again, not something you want to hear. I'm going, I don't need a catheter. That works just fine. That all works. Don't worry about that. Please don't grab that. Don't grab that. Don't stick that in that. No, don't do, ow. And then I had a catheter. Had surgery straight after that.
I'll tell you what, I'm going to say 2 things. I'm going to say hi to Petty Wallaby, who's actually in Australia.
Hey.
So we'll hopefully catch up this week, visiting from Canada. You're getting eased in. It's cooler than average spring temperatures, but okay, there'll be a bit of rain, but it's nice-ish, but cooler than average. It's November in Melbourne. You could have walked into fucking 40 Celsius.
Easy.
You could have walked into some hideous storm as well.
Easy. You've
got a mid-range. It's sort of high teens. The sun is out. So you've been eased into, and this week's, you got to go, Anti-Swagger. The other thing is we're going to go soon because we've been doing this for about 3 hours. So hi to Petty Wallaby, who I'll hopefully be catching up with this week. Thank you all for joining AIDzee and I. You've provided us with a lot of fun. So we're all going. So Eric's going. Anti-Swagger's going. We're going. We've been doing this for about 3 hours now.
Thank you so very much.
Time has flown. It's been immense fun. Yeah.
Really, it's really cool.
You throw us a thumbs up on the YouTube on the way out. Now, as I say, we're perpetually trying to fool the YouTube algorithm into thinking we're popular.
Popular, yes.
Yeah. So,
I'm prepared to sell my bum for popular.
So, we're all just cool. So I will see you all again soon. There'll be videos during the week and live streams during the week. We might get AIDzee over again next weekend, all things being equal.
With a lot of luck.
Inshallah. Yeah, inshallah, as the saying goes. So one of the big things that came out of the Gulf War, knowing that Islamic saying, which is basically God willing. But it's basically meaning what happens next is out of our control. If Allah wills it, all will be well. It's got slightly more depth than God willing, but it basically means, like, it literally translates as God willing. But inshallah is basically, I'm walking out the door, accepting I have no control over anything that happens.
It's just going to be what it is.
What will be. And I'll see you again later or not.
We hope we will. And thank you very much.
Thank you, everyone, for joining us. We're going to go bye-bye, and we'll see you again soon.
See ya.
Bye now.
Thanks a lot. Bye.
Now, I'm going to go over here.